Chapter 521, Hee hee. The butler will be surprised later, won't he? Green Tower Administrator Zone. One of the growth conditions for the Green Tower, planting 100 billion seeds, has been achieved. Ho ho ho, my granddaughter is working hard. Brachio Iorg, the leader of the Great Green Dragons, smiled broadly as she looked at the notification displayed in the crystal sphere. Ophelia, still harboring a competitive spirit toward Sejun, was putting in her best effort to catch up with him. A good rival is one who spurs you to grow. Of course, Sejun, the sunfish that he was, had no idea he was being considered a rival by a great dragon. Now, we only have 3 more Green Tower growth conditions left to fulfill. Brachio said as she reviewed the list of conditions for the growth of the Green Tower. Tower Farmer, A, was fulfilled when Ophelia became an A-rank Tower Farmer. Growing the World Tree was fulfilled when a chestnut World Tree suddenly appeared on the 57th floor of the tower. Achieve one great feat was accomplished when Theo's sale of Sejun's sturdy blade green onions to the Neta tribe led to the extinction of the locusts. Then again, when Theo sold the vitality-infused fragrant grapes and the screaming pineapple, leading to the extinction of the giant blood-sucking spider, earning 2 great feats in total, thus exceeding the requirement. With that, 5 out of 8 growth conditions for the Green Tower had been met. Achieving in just 1 year what hadn't been done in 3,000 years was a very satisfying result. Yuhahaha, Brachio, how have you been? Thanks to Sejun, we just fulfilled 6 growth conditions for the White Tower. At least until the magic communication from Kellyan Maimb, the administrator of the White Tower, arrived. Arg will achieve 7 before the next dragon meeting. Brachio's competitive spirit was ignited. It seemed Ophelia's competitiveness was indeed inherited from her grandmother. 86th floor of the Golden Tower. Seethed with envy and jealousy, Silaut used his power to cast a widespread curse on the surroundings. Immediately, Arg Everton, what makes you so much better than me? Willie, why does the captain always praise you? What do you have that I don't? Lodo, why are you the only one winning the lottery? TL, the name when translate would be Rodo, but I am keeping it as Lodo, beaming face with smiling eyes. The soldiers' eyes turned red, and the jealousy and envy buried deep in their hearts began to surface. But the soldiers didn't look at those they were envious and jealous of. Instead, they turned their hostile gaze toward Sejun's group, filled with fury. QQ now fight each other to death. Silaut took twisted pleasure in making others see their allies as objects of envy and jealousy, leading them to fight and ultimately destroy each other. This was why Silaut was known as the Demon King of Envy and Jealousy. And then you have been cursed by Silaut, the Demon King of Envy and Jealousy. The curse of Silaut began to seep into Sejun's group as well. Demon King. Along with the message, Sejun's eyes started to turn red as envy and jealousy started to rise within him. Why am I the only one who's weak? The jealousy and envy that he had buried deep inside began to stir. The effect of the title, one who hates demons, allows you to resist the impure energy. You have successfully resisted the curse. Fortunately, thanks to his title and the mental strength and divine power Sejun had accumulated, he was able to push back against the curse. Guys, are you all okay? Having successfully resisted the curse, Sejun hurriedly checked on his companions. Meow, Pewhut. I hybrid Vice Chairman Theo am a cat who has everything, so I'm not affected by such petty curses Naya. I have the great hybrid Chairman Park's lap, so there's nothing to envy Meow. Kyung. Dad loves Kyungi, so Kyungi is fine. As long as Dad loves Kyungi, Kyungi is happy. Pio. I'm okay too because I have peanuts. Piahiti. I'm already Theonim's right front paw after all. Theo, Kyungi, and Piat, who already had everything they wanted and lacked nothing, weren't affected by the curse. Kilahit Kaying. Hee Butler, I beat the curse. The Blackie family possessed mental defenses so strong that even if they wanted to, they couldn't be affected by something as trivial as the Demon King's curse. There was no need to worry. However, why is Theonim the only one who gets to be happy? Why is Theonim the only one with endless luck? Give me some luck too. There was one person who couldn't resist the curse. Urin, who had always envied Theo's luck, had his eyes turn red with fury. And then, Theonim, give me some of your luck too. Uhehe, I'll hold on tight and won't let go until you share your luck with me. Urin, eyes filled with envy, charged toward the soldiers. In his mind, all 100,000 soldiers appeared to be Theo. Vice Chairman Theo, let's put him to sleep. Understood, meow. Thwack. Kuika. Theo struck the back of Urin's head, knocking him out cold. Once the situation was under control within the group. That's mine originally, give it back. I have to have it. That was supposed to be mine. The soldiers, now completely overtaken by envy and jealousy, had lost their senses and were about 100 meters away, closing in on them. Leave this to me. Sejun spoke confidently. Seeing the soldiers charging forward with unfocused eyes, it was clear that stopping them with a powerful attack like before would be difficult. If he had to knock them out one by one, it would take far too long. And if they regained their senses and fled while he was dealing with the Demon King, they might lose these valuable employees. We can't lose the full-time employees. Clack. Sejun pulled out a purple gemstone. Finally, I get to use this. Crack. He squeezed it, shattering the gemstone in his hand. Immediately, Blessing Stone of Uncle, the god of grapevines, has been destroyed. The blessing of the Grapevine of Restraint is activated. The Grapevine of Restraint will subdue all the enemies. A series of messages appeared as Rustle. Vines sprouted from the ground beneath the soldiers' feet, winding around them. At first, the soldiers tried to shake off the vines. Rustle, rustle. But the vines kept growing endlessly, wrapping around the soldiers, and in the end, they were completely restrained by the grapevines. Haha, the effect is great. Unclenim, I should offer something at your achievement monument. Pleased with the performance of the Blessing Stone, Sejun began planning a strategy to obtain more Blessing Stones from Uncle. Once the soldiers were fully subdued. Everyone get him. Sejun pointed at Silaut. Meow got it meow. Kuang. Pio. Theo Kuangi, and Piat swiftly charged toward Silaut. Blackie, you're good at exorcisms, right? Sejun asked Blackie while following behind the three. Kilahit Kaying Kaying. He, the great Blackie can defeat even the Demon King. I'll defeat them all. All right. Sejun stroked Blackie's head, who was barking confidently, as they reached Silaut, who had been knocked out by a blow to the head from Theo. Then, go exorcism Blackie. Kaying Kaying Kaying. Butler, leave it me. The great Blackie will handle this. Blackie family move out. Thunk. Following Sejun's command, Blackie headbutted Silaut's forehead along with his subordinates. Flop. Sejun carefully picked up the unconscious members of the Blackie family from the ground and placed them in his sling bag. He had already confirmed how strong Blackie was during their time in the mental world of the silent plunderer, White Whale Mobius, so there was no need to worry. As he waited for Blackie's exorcism to finish. Pew hew hut. Stamp stamp stamp. Theo was stamping the backs of the soldiers' heads, who had been restrained by the grapevines. His relentless diligence was truly remarkable. Silaut's mental world. I am Silaut, the Demon King of envy and jealousy. Silaut screamed in desperation as he faced the giant black wolf. But I am the great Blackie. You Demon King, I am the great Blackie, I win. Thud. Blackie effortlessly stomped on Silaut with his front paw, and the exorcism was over in an instant. The souls that had been trapped by Silaut began to glow with a blue light as they escaped his mental world. And then you have freed 11,123 souls. The effect of power, soul pacification, increases all stats by 32,580. With this, Blackie instantly surpassed Sejun in one go. Among the saved souls, there must have been some powerful ones, as the stat increase was tremendous. Guys, take this, and don't let the butler find out, okay? Blackie distributed 3,000 points from his newly gained stats to each of his subordinates, while telling them to hide their power. Sealing their strength without letting it show was an easy task for the former apostles of destruction. Heh, the butler will be surprised later, won't he? Blackie found it amusing that Sejun still thought he was weak. Moreover, if he thinks I'm weak, he'll keep letting me stay in the sling bag. Blackie knew his butler was a bit narrow-minded, so if Sejun found out about his strength, he might stop carrying him around in the sling bag. There was no way he could give up his spot in the sling bag, where he could feel Sejun's warmth. Let's get out now. With their powers hidden, the Blackie family exited the mental realm. While the Blackie family was busy with the exorcism, Sejun, who had nothing else to do, hummed a tune as he watched Theo stamping his seals. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, are you watching me carefully, meow? Yeah, I'm watching. Pew Hut, got it, meow. Theo kept checking if Sejun was watching him work, which occasionally interrupted his humming. But, Kaiwo, Pio. Kyungi and Piat sang along with him from the side, so the melody never completely stopped. Just as Sejun started humming again, a guardian deity for Scudo has not been appointed. Please designate a proxy guardian deity quickly. The longer the appointment of a proxy guardian deity is delayed, the faster the pace of destruction will accelerate. Messages appeared urging him to designate a proxy guardian deity. Ah, right. I forgot about that. Well, I could make Hammernham the guardian. No, wait. Sejun reconsidered appointing Hamer as the proxy guardian deity to give him a physical form through divine power. Currently, Sejun could barely handle the stats he'd borrowed from other tower farmers, and Hamer was also busy creating enhancing elixirs. Then who should I choose? As Sejun pondered. At that moment, Yuri, the god of loneliness, and 10 other gods asked, Park Sejun, can you hear our voices? A message appeared before Sejun. Yuri, the god of loneliness, had gathered several solitary gods together, and they had collectively prayed to Sejun. The prayer, combining the wills of multiple gods, became a clear enough message to reach Sejun. Yuri. Yes, I can hear you. By any chance is Yuri, the god of loneliness, the same Yuri as the grapevine Yuri I named? Sejun asked, immediately thinking of the grapevine Yuri upon hearing the name. Yuri, the god of loneliness, and 10 other gods confirmed that it is indeed true. Really? That's great. Congratulations on becoming a god, Yuri. But what's the matter? Yuri, the god of loneliness, and 10 other gods asked if they could also have temples built for them. Temples? How about being a proxy guardian deity instead? Sejun, who needed proxy guardian deities, asked Yuri, the god of loneliness, and 10 other gods say they would like to jointly serve as proxy guardian deities. Jointly? Is that allowed? I'd like to designate Yuri, the god of loneliness, and 10 others as joint proxy guardian deities, with the allocation being 1 share each. When Sejun said this, a proposal has been sent to Yuri, the god of loneliness, and 10 other gods, offering the position of Scudo's proxy guardian deity under the condition of an 89-11 allocation. The proposal was sent to the gods. If it weren't for Yuri, even with 11 gods involved, Sejun would have simply allocated 1 share to all of them. But then, Yuri might end up being disliked, and Sejun didn't want Yuri to feel lonely there. To ensure Yuri received favorable treatment, Sejun allocated 1 share to each god. A moment later, Yuri, the god of loneliness, and 10 other gods have accepted the position of proxy guardian deity for Scudo. Yuri, the god of loneliness, and 10 other gods have become the proxy guardian deities for Scudo on behalf of Park Sejun. The 11 gods accepted Sejun's proposal, and you have gained command over 11 gods. Due to the effect of title, one who overwhelms gods, All stats increase by 550, divinity increases by 22. By gaining control over 11 gods, Sejun achieved an unexpected result. Thanks to designating proxy guardian deities, you have become an unofficial guardian deity of Scudo. Just as Sejun became the unofficial guardian deity of Scudo. Thwack. Theo struck the back of Marin's head, who was starting to regain consciousness, knocking him out again. Stamp. Hut, Chairman Park, I've stamped them all, meow. Take this, meow. With the final stamp on the back of Marin's head, Theo removed the necklace around Marin's neck and handed it to Sejun. Thank you. Crack. Sejun crushed the heart of Silaut, the demon king of envy and jealousy, pouring into it the envy and jealousy that had once lingered in his own heart. Of course, if he ever found out that Blackie had become stronger than him, those feelings of envy and jealousy might flare up all over again. Chapter 522, Hut. I like everything, meow. Give me all of it, meow. Let's head out now. Hut. Understood, meow. All full-time employees follow the great hybrid Chairman Park, meow. At Sejun's words, Theo shouted out to the 100,000 full-time employees. And so, Sejun's group, along with the 100,000 full-time employees of Sejun Company, set out for Urin's family home. Leading the way to his home, Urin was in high spirits. With the massive force following him, it truly felt like a triumphant return. That's my house over there. Urin pointed towards a massive mansion visible in the distance. The mansion was built on a slightly elevated hill, allowing a commanding view of the surroundings. Although it was quite a distance away, the mansion was large enough to be clearly visible. After moving for about 30 minutes, there are too many people, so let's leave the employees here. Sejun decided to have the employees wait. No matter how large the demon family's mansion was, it wouldn't be able to accommodate a force of 100,000. Moreover, if they continued like this, it would look like they were surrounding and besieging the demon family's entrance. Hut, understood, meow. Only you guys come with us, meow. At Sejun's words, Theo only had Marin and the heads of the Green Pig and Red Pig families follow along, who were the main instigators of this incident. This was because the treasures they had gathered were inside the mansion. When Sejun's group arrived at the mansion, after having the troops wait outside, young Master Urin, the head butler of the demon family, Reuter, was at the front and recognized Urin immediately, rushing over to him. Head butler Reuter. Urin cheerfully waved his hooves at Reuter, who had looked after him since he was young. Young master, the task assigned by the family head. As he approached Urin, Reuter asked cautiously in a low voice. If Urin had returned without completing the task, Reuter was planning to quickly send him back before anyone else from the family saw him. And the young master must have had a hard time. Reuter was convinced that Urin hadn't completed the task. Given Urin's personality, which Reuter had observed since he was a child, it was nearly an impossible mission for him. However, of course I came back because I completed the mission. Urin responded with a proud expression towards Reuter. His face was brimming with a confidence that Reuter hadn't seen before. Our young master has truly grown. Reuter looked at Urin with pride. But why are Marin Nim, Ejin Nim, and Nelk Nim stepping forward from behind? Noticing that the three of them had their heads bowed, Reuter realized it belatedly. Though he didn't greet them due to the strange atmosphere, from the current situation, it was clear that Urin was above the three. Not only did he complete his mission, but he also subdued the leaders of the opposing faction, who constantly interfered with the family head's plans and brought them along. The family head will be pleased. Congratulations, young master. I will go report to the family head that you have returned. You there attend to young master Urin. Reuter called over a passing servant to assist Urin, and then hurried off to report to Udo. It was the lightest step Reuter had taken in nearly a decade. After the head butler Reuter left. "Young master, where shall I escort you?" the servant asked Urin. Then, Puhut, "First, lead us to the treasure vault, meow." Theo, acting as if he owned the place, took the lead. "Please lead me to the treasure vault." Urin nodded to the servant while looking at Theo. "Sejun Nim, can we allow these three to go gather their assets?" Urin asked, looking at Marin, Egan, and Nelk. Even though they had tried to kill him, the three held high positions within the family, and there were many eyes watching here. Moreover, with Theo's stamp, they wouldn't be able to do anything reckless like embezzling the assets. Sure. With Sejun's permission, the three gave Urin a grateful look and quickly slipped away, avoiding the gazes of others, while the rest of the group headed toward Urin's treasure vault. Finally, they arrived at Urin's treasure vault. Clank! As they opened the door. Well, the vault was filled with all sorts of treasures. As the only son of the head of the demon family, Urin regularly received treasures, and even more would come as gifts on his birthdays. "These are things I received when I was younger. If there's anything you like, please take it." When Urin said that, "Puhut, I like everything, meow. Give me all of it, meow." Theo, the shameless cat with no concept of restraint or modesty, began stuffing all the treasures in the vault into his bag. "Oh, this is a Earth's jewel. Kuhiha. K-Kilahid." Sejun and his group also quietly joined in and started collecting treasures together. After a while, Puhut got everything, meow. Once Sejun and his group had completely emptied the vault. "There are more treasure vaults besides this one. I'll show you those as well." Puhut, "Sounds good, meow." Urin led the group to another treasure vault. Originally, there had been about 20 such treasure vaults, but due to Urin's gullible nature, only 5 remained. After Sejun and his group had looted around 3 of Urin's treasure vaults. "Urin, where are you, my baby piggy?" A woman's voice, desperately calling for Urin, was heard from afar. Thud, thud. Soon the sound of heavy footsteps echoed, and a pink pig noblewoman, dressed in a beautiful gown and adorned with jewels, who was a head taller than Urin, appeared before them. This was Urin's mother, Hamey Demon. One of the maids, who had spotted Urin along with the head butler Reuter, had immediately run to inform Hamey. "Mom! Urin!" The two ran toward each other. "Look at how skinny you are. How little must you have eaten while you were away?" Hamey touched Urin's skinny face and burst into tears. Urin's mother, "Don't you see the shine on Urin's face?" Sejun, who had worked hard to keep Urin well fed, felt wrongfully accused. By any measure, Urin was a chubby pig. A little while later. "Oh dear, how unbecoming of me to behave this way in front of guests. Urin, who are these people?" After her emotions calmed down a bit, Hamey wiped her tears and asked Urin to introduce Sejun and his companions. At that moment, bang bang, the sound of heavy, hurried footsteps approached. "Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun Nim, welcome. I am Udo Demon, head of the demon family." Udo, wearing a black tuxedo with a refined mustache and an air of dignity, hurriedly approached Sejun and bowed in greeting. Realizing from her husband's demeanor that Sejun's status was extraordinary, Hamey quickly followed Udo's lead and bowed as well. Udo had already heard from Cecilia, with whom he had occasional contact, about Sejun who was helping Urin. He knew that Sejun was someone who had received personal gratitude from Artemis Yul, the great golden dragon and administrator of the Golden Tower. And as a token of gratitude, Sejun had even received gifts of golden dragon scales and teeth. Moreover, he was someone who was close not only with the great golden dragon, but also with other great dragons. Hello." Faced with Udo's overly respectful greeting, Sejun returned the bow with his own bow. For Udo, such a respectful gesture was only natural. Sejun was someone who could converse with the great dragons, beings who would actually listen to what he had to say. "Sejun Nim, you must be hungry. Let's have a meal first." "Yes." Following Udo's guidance, They entered the dining hall. Hud. Theo, as if it were the most natural thing, seated himself in the head seat. Great hybrid Chairman Park, I've saved your seat, meow. Thump thump. He called for Sejun, while patting the center of the chair with his front paws. Hey, get down. Sejun hurriedly waved his hand, gesturing for Theo to get down, but thump thump. Great hybrid Chairman Park must sit in the best seat, meow. Theo persisted, patting the chair. Ha ha ha, Sejun Nim, please take the head seat. It's only right that Sejun Nim sits there. But it would make us more comfortable too. Please sit. All right. After Yudo's repeated urging, Sejun finally took the head seat. As Sejun sat down, Kyungi naturally took a seat to his right, and Piat settled on his left. Across from Sejun sat Yudo, with Haimi and Urin on either side of him. Hud. Theo, pleased with himself, also climbed onto Sejun's lap, making himself comfortable. I told you to get down. Squeeze. Chairman Park, why meow? I just sat down, meow. Until the food arrived, Theo had to endure Sejun pulling on his cheeks like stretchy rice cake, all while a small smile appeared on Sejun's face. A short while later, rumble rumble. Carts loaded with food entered the dining hall endlessly, filling the table to the brim with dishes. Sejun Nim, please enjoy. Yes, thank you, I will. The meal began. Hut, I want churu, meow. Even in this grand setting, Theo still wanted the churu that Sejun made for him. As they continued eating, Sejun's stomach was already feeling full, but why doesn't it end? The servants kept clearing away empty plates, only to replace them with new dishes loaded with food. True to their status as a family of pigs, the food seemed truly endless, no matter how much they ate. Yuhiha. Thanks to this, Kyungi and Urin were thrilled, eating heartily as if they hadn't had a proper meal in months. Was I really starving them? Sejun was genuinely starting to wonder if he had somehow been starving them. At that moment, Kaying, hey butler, give me that next. Blackie, peeking out from Sejun's sling bag, barked to ask for a food he hadn't seen before. All right, hold on. Sejun carefully examined the food, picking out only items that he knew Blackie could safely eat. Although he had recently realized that Blackie was quite different from ordinary canines. Eat carefully. If something feels off, spit it out right away. Got it. To Sejun, Blackie was still a super sunfish that needed looking after. The great Blackie has conquered chocolate and grapes and everything else. Of course, Blackie, who could overcome foods that regular canines couldn't eat, was a bit frustrated that he couldn't just eat whatever he wanted. But I like it when Butler takes care of me. He stayed still because he preferred being cared for by Sejun. It was too happy just chewing the food that Sejun put in his mouth without moving. After 2 hours of the meal, family head Nim, the head butler Reuter, quietly called for Yudo. What is it? Didn't I say not to disturb me today because of our important guest? I apologize, but this is urgent. I see. Sejun Nim, would you excuse me for a moment? Of course, please take care of your business. Thank you. With Reuter's words, Yudo quickly excused himself, obtaining Sejun's permission to step away. 10 minutes later. Haha, my apologies. I received a report that a trade caravan heading to the 46th floor of the tower had been ambushed by bandits. Yudo returned after handling the situation. Is that so? Were you able to resolve it? Yes, we decided to negotiate by paying them off. As soon as Yudo sat back down. Haimi Nim. A maid approached and carefully called for Haimi. What is it? I told you to cancel all schedules today. It's something you need to see for yourself. Understood. Sejun Nim, I apologize. I need to step out for a moment as well. Of course. Haimi also left her seat. 20 minutes later. I'm so sorry. There was a sudden issue with some goods scheduled for delivery today. Haimi returned, explaining the situation to Sejun. I hope the food suits your taste. We noticed you weren't eating much. Should we bring something else? The two tried to restore the atmosphere that had become a bit chaotic due to the interruptions, but Yuto Nim. Soon, Reuter once again called for Yuto. Haimi Nim. Then another maid called for Haimi. Suddenly, incidents and emergencies started popping up from all directions. As a result, they had to frequently leave the table to handle matters. And then, as expected, the king of misfortune. Sejun seemed to understand what was happening. Yuren's misfortune seemed to be casting its shadow over the demon family estate. In reaction to Yuren's overwhelming happiness at being home, his misfortune had grown stronger, threatening to engulf the entire demon household. Ooh! Even Yuren, who had been frantically eating without concern at first, sensed something wrong and put down his spoon with a sad face. He realized it himself, that it wasn't yet time for him to return home. Let's go back. All right. At Yuren's words, Sejun, Kyungi, and Piat quietly stood up. No words of comfort could offer solace in this moment. Puhu Hut, Yuren, let's stop by the remaining 2 treasure vaults on our way out, meow. Only Theo, oblivious as always, spoke up with his usual enthusiasm. But then, Yuiha, as expected, Theonym is the best. Puhu Hut, that's right, meow. I hybrid vice chairman Theo am always the best, meow. In the end, it was Theo who provided the greatest comfort to Yuren, uncovering a clue in the treasure vault that could help control Yuren's misfortune. Chapter 523, Not Unfortunate Enough to Use It. A little while ago, Sejun and his party raided Yuren's 4th treasure vault. Puhu Hut, now it's the last vault, meow. All right, let's finish this quickly. Kyung, Pio. With great enthusiasm, they headed toward the last remaining treasure vault. And then, for now, take everything. Puhu Hut, got it, meow. Kyung, Pio. By now, Sejun, Theo, Kyungi, and Piat had become complete experts at raiding treasure vaults, quickly emptying out Yuren's 5th treasure vault. Yuren was still in a state of depression. While Yuren remained downcast, the treasure vault raiding crew diligently swept the treasures into their bags. Meow. What's this unpleasant item, meow? Theo carefully inspected a square black wooden piece that he felt reluctant to touch with his paw, misfortune-swallowing amulet. The entire front of the palm-sized amulet had the character Chinese letter deeply engraved on it. TL, Chinese letter means misfortune in this case. SSSSS. SSSSS. The amulet seemed to want to avoid Theo's paw, shifting slightly to the opposite side of where Theo's paw approached. A mismatch of affinities between the two. But, Thwap, where do you think you're running, meow? It was impossible to escape from Theo's paw. Chairman Park, I found something strange, meow. Theo picked up the amulet and brought it over to Sejun. Something strange. Sejun took the amulet and examined it. Misfortune-swallowing amulet. A divine relic crafted by Misfortune, the god of misfortune, after striking a branch of a 10,000-year-old jujube world tree with lightning and imbuing it with divine power. TL. The name Misfortune is in English, while God of Misfortune is in Korean in the original raw. By absorbing a small misfortune that befalls the wearer, it can prevent a large misfortune within the next 24 hours. It cannot block massive misfortunes. Activates once per day. The more misfortunes it swallows, the more the relic's power grows. Usage restriction. Only those recognized as unfortunate by Misfortune, the god of misfortune. Creator, Misfortune, the god of misfortune. Grade. Oh, this is a divine relic. Since it was a gift sent to Yuren, it even came with an appraisal. It can prevent a big misfortune by swallowing a small one. Then it's perfect for me. For a sunfish like him, a single big misfortune meant losing one of his lives. While Sejun was happily holding the amulet, Misfortune, the god of misfortune, does not recognize you as unfortunate enough to use this relic. What? Misfortune, the god of misfortune, rejected Sejun, not realizing what a great opportunity he was missing. TL, opportunity for god of misfortune. After being rejected by misfortune like that, Sejun, not unfortunate enough to use it, then. That guy is 100% qualified. He naturally looked at Urin, who was making a sad face in front of the treasure vault. Vice Chairman Theo, give this to Urin. Understood, meow. Following Sejun's instructions, Theo handed the misfortune-swallowing amulet to the god of misfortune, shudders, saying he's never seen someone as unfortunate as you. Misfortune, the god of misfortune, cries out, asking where you've been all this time and begs to stay with you forever. Urin became the owner of the divine relic amid misfortune's intense welcome. And then the misfortune-swallowing amulet swallows one small misfortune. The misfortune-swallowing amulet grows slightly. It will prevent one large misfortune within the next 24 hours. One large misfortune has been prevented. The relic immediately swallowed a small misfortune of Urin's and blocked a large misfortune that was going to happen to him today. Of course, waves of misfortune were still relentlessly looming behind that blocked one. Mom, Dad, it seems I have to leave again. If I just keep strengthening this relic. And so, Urin left the demon family with hope of controlling his misfortune. This time, he was leaving by choice, not like 10 years ago when he was chased out. However, that's right, as a man should, you must see the wider world. Don't worry about us and stay out as long as you want. Urin, make sure to eat well, and if you need money, don't struggle to come all the way back. Just call us, we'll send it right away. For some reason, Urin felt like he was being chased out again, just like 10 years ago. In a secluded corner of the combat shop headquarters. Ahaha, finally, my divine relic has found an owner. I've never seen anyone this unfortunate before. Those who avoided me, saying they'd be cursed with misfortune if they stayed with me, I'll make them pay. Misfortune, the goddess of misfortune, cheered as she lay on the street in rags, her ashen hair disheveled and homeless. Like the way darkness is deepest where the light is brightest, the combat shop headquarters housed a few combat gods who were even poorer than the non-combat gods. Misfortune, the goddess of misfortune, was one of them. At that moment, the misfortune-swallowing amulet has absorbed a small misfortune and gained 0.01 divine power. The misfortune-swallowing amulet has prevented a major misfortune and gained 0.5 divine power. Yes, I got divine power. Misfortune cheered, reading the messages. Not realizing that if she had recognized Sejun as the owner of the divine relic, she could have received an achievement monument for eliminating his misfortune and earned dozens of times more divine power. How fitting for the goddess of misfortune. You have arrived on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. After registering the waypoint on the 86th floor of the Golden Tower, Sejun returned via the waypoint to the 99th floor of the Golden Tower. It's already night. Everyone, good work today, sleep well. As soon as he arrived at the farm, he went straight to his house and fell asleep. Snore. Gorarung. As Sejun and his companions slept. Pip pip, good night everyone. Peacebees woke up. And Kilahit Kaying. Hee, it's time. When Peacebees went outside, Blackie ran out as well and brought back his 1% core fragment, which he had hidden in his treasure trove. It was a core made from combining purified fragments cleansed by the destruction devourers long ago, and it was the essential material for the great method Blackie had been preparing. Since long ago, Blackie family had occasionally gathered in the mental world to hold meetings. Their main agenda was, how can we make the butler stronger? How can we live without worrying about the butler? How can we prevent the butler from becoming envious of us? Naturally, everything was about Sejun. And if the butler is strong, everything will be solved. All the answers led to one conclusion. Thus, the Blackie family joined the trend of making Sejun stronger, along with Theo Kyungi, the dragons of the Four Dragons Council, Aileen, and even the Creator God. By now, it seemed like the entire universe was trying to help Sejun, but he still remained a fragile speck in the universe, unable to shake his sunfish status. There were countless ways to make Sejun stronger, but he was too weak to handle any of that power. Yet Blackie family didn't give up. After long, intense deliberation, they finally found a very safe way to strengthen Sejun. Let's give the butler a core too. Cores were organs exclusive to divine beasts, known for their exceptional stability. The only issue was that Sejun wasn't a divine beast. But, let's forcefully create one. With 8 excellent divine beasts here, there was no reason it couldn't be done. Blackie family planned to create a core in Sejun's lower abdomen. Alright, let's begin. Kilahit Kaying. Butler, swallow this. Blackie forcefully pushed the core fragment into Sejun's mouth. Tab tab tab. Then he scurried down to Sejun's lower abdomen. Melt. Kuruk. Sharaleng. Break down. Kak. Pipiak. Mumu. The other 7 subordinates, who had already positioned themselves around Sejun, began channeling their power to assist Blackie in breaking down the 1% power-contained core. They had practiced this extensively in the mental world, so their actions were precise and flawless. After the core was broken down, Kaying, gather, Blackie concentrated the energy of his dismantled core fragment back into Sejun's lower abdomen. Kaying, here we go. He created an invisible, tiny mass of energy, which he began to roll and gradually absorb energy to grow in size. And then, compression. As the mass grew slightly larger, Blackie consumed some stats to stabilize it by pressing it from all sides. This was why Blackie had distributed his stats to his subordinates. After rolling the energy mass to make it smaller, then compressing it again by expending more stats every time it grew, they repeated the process dozens of times. Kaying, it's complete. At last, the energy stabilized completely and settled in Sejun's lower abdomen. Thud. Kirarong. Iamrarong. Kurarong. The exhausted Blackie family fell into a deep sleep, as if they had passed out. All right. Sejun woke up energetically, as usual. But today, something felt different. His stomach felt heavy. It's not like, I need to go to the bathroom. As Sejun rubbed his heavy belly and looked ahead, he saw power. Sunfish Core has been acquired. A message appeared before him. Sunfish Core. Who named this power like that? Whoever it is, if I find them, I won't let them get away with it. Determined to punish whoever dared to name the power Sunfish Core, Sejun checked the details of the power, Sunfish Core. A core designed and created by Blackie and his 7 subordinates, created after long planning for the Black Tower's tower farmer, Park Sejun. Butler gets stronger. All stat potential plus 3000. Every day, all stat potential plus 30, up to a maximum of 50,000. Butler don't die. Vitality plus 500%. Butler absolutely do not die. For 1 minute, all stats can be converted to stamina. The power was amazing. It immediately boosted all stat potentials by 3,000 and would continue to increase by 30 every day. Although there was a cap of 50,000, that number was still far off for Sejun. On top of that, there was a plus 500% increase in vitality and even an ability to convert all stats to stamina for 1 minute. So Blackie was the culprit, huh? To think that a baby sunfish dared to think of me as a sunfish. Sejun felt a mix of emotions after checking the power. He should punish Blackie for calling him a sunfish, but reading the description made his heart soft as he realized how much Blackie cared about him. Maybe I'll let it slide this time. Kirarong. Sejun reached out and patted Blackie, who was sprawled on his belly, sleeping in Chinese letter position. At that, Kivahit. Blackie let out a happy giggle, enjoying Sejun's touch. Heta, how cute. Without realizing it, a smile appeared on Sejun's face, and he forgot what he was even thinking about. But then, Kilahit Kaying. Hee butler, how's the sunfish core I made for you? It's good, right? Kilahit Kaying. With the sunfish core, you can get stronger too, butler. Kilahit Kaying. I'll make your sunfish core even better later. Blackie, who had woken up, ran frantically around Sejun while enthusiastically explaining about the sunfish core. This super sunfish, are you still calling me a sunfish? That's it, I can't take it anymore. Bee-whoop, bee-whoop, bee-whoop. Kaying Kilahit. In the end, the sunfish, Sejun snapped and punished Blackie with belly farts. And then, Pew Hut, great hybrid chairman Park, do it to me too, meow. Kyung. Beside him, Theo and Kyungi presented their bellies, waiting their turn. Bee-whoop, bee-whoop, bay-whoop. Pew Hut. Bee-whoop, bee-whoop, bay-whoop. Kyu-he-ha. Bee-whoop, bee-whoop, bay-whoop. K-Kilahit. Sejun went on giving belly farts to all three of them in turn until he was dizzy. Only then could he go have breakfast. After breakfast, Sejun, what did you pick up this time? Looks like a divine beast's core this time. There's another energy mixed in. Isn't this the battle aura that ogres use? Ha, our Sejun is becoming more of a hybrid by the day. TL, hybrid here is in Korean. The dragons of the Four Dragons Council started teasing Sejun, who now had not only dragon bones and divine blood, but also a divine beast's core mixed into him. I'm not a hybrid, but hybrid. And you know, hybrids are actually healthier. TL, just like last time, the dragons are calling Sejun a hybrid in Korean, and Sejun is saying hybrid in English. Sejun earnestly preached the virtues of hybrids to the dragons. For the sake of the future Park Sejun II. TL, damn, Sejun is already thinking about his future child. Chapter 524, 1000 Ways to Completely Win a Cat's Heart. 99th floor of the Black Tower. From this day forward, we will form the Hybrid Protection Association to protect hybrids. Sejun declared the founding of HPA, short for Hybrid Protection Association, to counter the dragon's teasing, in a very solemn voice. Then, Pew Hut, good meow. Since the great hybrid chairman Park is the chairman of the HPA, of course hybrid vice chairman Theo, will naturally be the vice chairman of the HPA meow. Theo, who had dragon claws and dragon skin, exclaimed excitedly at Sejun's words. Bahit, I'm a hybrid too. Peacebees, who also had dragon claws, mumbled with a still sleepy voice, laughing. Kidahit, Kaying. Butler, me too. Blackie, who had dragon tooth, wagged his tail and barked excitedly. I also have dragon bones in my body, so I am a hybrid as well. Kurug. Shallering. Following their leader Blackie's subordinates also proved themselves to be hybrids. They had already long enhanced their bodies by using dragon tooth, scales, and skins stored in the void storage. Thus, as everyone united under the HPA banner. Kyungi is not a hybrid though. Kyungi, who was a pureblood, felt sad all by himself. Misfortune, the god of misfortune, says they can sense another divine relic of theirs within the Black Tower and has asked you to find it. Urin and Piat, who were also purebloods like Kyungi, had set off to search for misfortune's other divine relic right after breakfast. Kyungi, it's okay. You're an honorary member of our HPA. To comfort Kyungi, Sejun quickly established an honorary member system. Everything was at the chairman's discretion. So Kyungi is now part of the same Hybrid Protection Association as Dad. That's right. Kyung. Kyungi is so happy. At Sejun's words, Kyungi's expression brightened immediately. All right then, let's take a break. After calling out to his companions, Sejun took a sip. Slurp. He drank the coffee Kyungi had brewed for him. Morning coffee was essential. Pew Hut. Kyuhit. Kivihit. Sejun's companions settled around him and began relaxing together. Even though they had formed the HPA, nothing had really changed, and that was just how it was meant to be. Slurp. Anyway, would he finally be able to raise his stats again? As Sejun sipped his coffee, he checked his stats. Thanks to the power, Sunfish Core, all his stat potentials had increased by 3,000, so there should now be some leeway in his potentials. And stats, strength, 8498101113, stamina 93729982, agility, 76978633, magic power 10,177 mental strength, 19343000, divinity, 35.7124 As Sejun had predicted, with the increased potential, he was able to raise his stats, except for magic power. Wow, my stats are incredibly high now. Total stats of 35,744. Sejun's chest swelled with pride as he looked at his stats. Moreover, with these stats, I'm probably the third strongest among the tower farmers, after Ophelia and Ajax, right? The total stats of other tower farmers he had calculated when borrowing stats before was around 25,000. Now Sejun had surpassed them. Summon Veronica. They'll be surprised by my power. With that thought, Sejun let his energy flow freely and summoned Veronica. After about 30 seconds, summoning Veronica, Purple Tower's honorary full-time employee. Veronica appeared with her 3M tall body packed with muscles and snow-white skin. Did you call for me, Sejun Nim? Contrary to Sejun's expectations, Veronica looked at him without the slightest hint of intimidation and asked calmly, Kuo. Hello. On the other hand, Sejun was overwhelmed by Veronica's aura. Veronica's total stats were around 50,000. While Sejun had been growing, Veronica had also been leveling up, a lot more than he had. Veronica returned. Feeling disheartened, Sejun sent Veronica back. Summon Zelga. Summon Quinn. Summon Udon. Hopping there would be at least one tower farmer weaker than him, Sejun summoned all the other tower farmers. However, none of them were weaker than Sejun. Why is everyone's stats higher than mine? When Sejun voiced his frustration. Kelkelkel, Sejun Nim just doesn't have any talent. What, you can go back too. Auric, the last one he had summoned, sneered slyly next to him, getting on Sejun's nerves. But in a way, Auric was right. The other tower farmers each possessed talents like efficient absorption, perfect digestion, and drug boost, which enhanced the effects of the items they consumed. Thus, Sejun spent the entire morning confirming that he was indeed the weakest tower farmer. Today, since I'm feeling down, it's going to be a meat feast. He filled his belly with a hearty meat lunch, and then, clink, he entered the void storage, planted destruction pioneers and destruction devourer seeds, and harvested the crops he had planted in Alice's body. During the harvesting process, you have harvested a scorching cherry. The skill You're a Field LV 8 has activated, dealing additional damage. The skill You're a Field LV 8 has activated, allowing you to harvest the stats of Alice, the mesmerizing spider and 9th seed of the Apostles of Destruction. Strength plus 20, stamina plus 20, agility plus 25, magic power plus 30. Magic power stat potential has reached its limit. You can no longer absorb magic power stat. The acquired magic power stat returns to nature. Each time the stat harvesting skill activated, his stats increased, and the excess magic power he couldn't absorb was returned to strengthen his battle aura. Nice. I'll get stronger. Thanks to the meat, Sejun had completely shaken off his depressed mood and worked enthusiastically. Your proficiency of You're a Field LV 8 has filled, and the level has increased. He upgraded the You're a Field skill to level 9. As a result, the amount of stats he gained from each activation of stat harvesting increased to a maximum of 150. While Sejun continued working hard in the void storage. Kuehe Kuang. Hehe, this will be good for Dad to eat. Kuangi went to the herb garden and dug up herbs to feed to Sejun. Puhu Hut. Greetings, Meow. I am the right hand of the great hybrid Chairman Park and the legendary merchant of the Black Tower, the deadly dragon-clawed golden hybrid cat Theo Park, Meow. Come and check out these goods, Meow. Theo had started a new business on the 4th floor of the Golden Tower. As the exit point of his bag of the legendary merchant wandering the 9 towers had changed. Usually, it would take some time for business to pick up, but this time, oh, it's the sturdy blade green onions. And this smell, the vitality-infused fragrant grapes. That wasn't the case. Thanks to the great golden dragon Artemis distributing the green onions and grapes he had bought from Aileen to the hunters of the Golden Tower, the hunters of Olga were already familiar with Sejun's crops. Puhu Hut then let the auction begin, Meow. As a result, Theo was able to auction off Sejun's crops immediately and sold out, Meow. He was able to finish up and clock out early. And then, Puhu Hut, Chairman Park, I'm back, Meow. Yeah, good work. Theo snuggled up on Sejun's lap, where Sejun was wrapping up his day by making samyangju with K-kabai and the level 1 golden rice. Just like that, next 10 uneventful days quickly passed by. Morning of day 477. All right. Sejun got up energetically as usual, due to the effect of power. Sunfish Core, all stat potentials have increased by 30. After checking the message, Meow. Kaying. He took care of Theo and Blackie, went outside to raise potential while walking around the farm, and ate breakfast. And then, now shall we start work? Just as he was about to start his morning tasks, the world Rasia, governed by the Blue Tower, is being devastated by a calamity. You, a mid-level administrator of the Black Tower, are offered a final chance to save Rasia. A mid-level administrator quest has appeared. Mid-level administrator quest. Go to Rasia, protect the remaining 5 Blue Towers, and eliminate the calamity. Reward, peace for Rasia. All stats plus 110 billion tower coins. Failure, you will automatically return to the Black Tower. Do you accept the quest? A message appeared before Sejun, asking for his choice. The calamity that had invaded Rasia, governed by the Blue Tower, was pushing the world to the brink of destruction. Huh? You're telling me to go fight in a place managed by the Blue Tower? Sejun was taken aback as he read the message. This was the first time he'd received such a message. And up until now, no one had ever received a message like this before. Because the last chance to save a dying world was only given to towers that had grown into tower status. Typically, the dragon administrators of a tower were granted an opportunity to descend into a dying world for about an hour when only one tower remained standing. But their descent wasn't to save the world. It was a last resort to reduce the power of destruction. Since the worlds they descended into were already considered doomed, the dragons could descend without worry, slay calamities during the allotted time, and return. I'll accept. After a moment of consideration, Sejun accepted the quest. He didn't have any grand intentions of heroically saving the world. Since he could safely return even if he failed, he just wanted to do whatever he could to help the residents of Rasia. Once Sejun accepted the quest, you will be transported to Rasia in 30 seconds. You may bring your subordinates with you. Please designate the subordinates you wish to bring. Guys, get into the void storage. Puhu Hut understood, Meow. Kuang. Kaying. Sejun quickly opened the void storage and had his companions enter, just in case his magic power wasn't enough to bring them all. And this was a very wise decision. With his magic power, he could only bring along mushroom ants and poisonous bees. Not only the other tower farmers, but even the residents of the 99th floor of the Black Tower had grown stronger by consuming Sejun's crops. This was why Sejun, despite his growth, was still comparatively weak like in Sunfish. After 30 seconds passed, Within the limits of your available magic power, subordinates are designating automatically. Transporting to Rasia. With 700 mushroom ants and 100 poisonous bees, Sejun disappeared from the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Combat Shop Headquarters. Lately, it's been dull without any action from Park Sejun. Bev, the god of courage, was bored as he awaited news of Sejun's recent courageous deeds. But since pushing him would only result in being blocked, Bev had no choice but to stay quiet. Just then, Kyungi, you need to embrace the path of a warrior, blocked again. In the distance, Thunder, the god of storms, cried out in frustration after being blocked for the 35th time while trying to convince Kyungi to follow the path of a warrior. Well, at least I'm doing better than that guy. Bev chuckled to himself as he looked at Thunder. A moment later. Hello, Bevnim. Thunder noticed Bev and greeted him. Still no luck. Yes, the moment I even mention the war in Warrior, Kyungi blocks me. You have to befriend him first, then bring it up subtly. It works sometimes. Really? Yeah. Bev proceeded to teach Thunder the art of coaxing someone onto the path of a warrior. By the way, Thunder, have you seen Battler recently, or heard anything about him? Bev asked about the recent whereabouts of Battler, the god of battle. No, now that you mention it, it's been a while since I last saw Battlernim. I heard he hasn't been coming out of his house lately. Really? Battler wasn't the type to stay cooped up at home. Bev sensed something unusual. Let's go visit Battler's place. All right. Bev led Thunder to Battler's house. And then, bang bang. Battler, are you in there? Bev knocked loudly on Battler's door. What is it? Battler, with his huge frame, opened the door with sunken eyes. In his hands was an exceptionally thick book, titled 1,000 Ways to Completely Win a Cat's Heart. Battler, the god of battle, still hadn't given up. Chapter 525. Heh. This place seems worth getting involved with. The sky had turned a crimson ash color, and the land and rivers were dead. And then, it's all over now. No matter what we do, we're all going to die. Between them were the residents of Rasia, sighing as they sensed their impending end. In the distance, they could see terrifying calamities approaching their city, but no one attempted to fight. They had fought for a long time against the first calamity, the locusts, and the second calamity, the giant blood-sucking leeches. Recently, by using the crops bestowed by the great blue dragon, they achieved consecutive major victories against both calamities and began to nurture a sense of hope for peace. On top of that, as the calamities retreated and their numbers dwindled significantly, the residents of Rasia were almost in a celebratory mood. It felt as if peace would come with just a little more effort, just a little more. However, their hopes were shattered into pieces when a few days ago, 5 calamities suddenly descended, ranging from the first calamity, the locusts, to the 5th calamity, the slimes. The 5 calamities moved together, with the fire moth burning down the sturdy blade green onions, which were the locusts' weakness, and the petrifying spider turning the vitality-infused fragrant grapes, the weakness of the giant blood-sucking leeches, into stone, neutralizing Sejun's crops. The calamities advanced with unstoppable momentum, swiftly capturing 80 of the blue towers, leaving only 5 blue towers remaining in Rasia. It was a downfall from what they believed was within reach at the summit. The residents, who had plummeted from hope to despair in an instant, could not shake off the shock and quietly prepared to accept their end. Take up your weapons. Are you going to die like this? Get up. Of course, there were those with an unyielding heart, like King Guerrero of Frog City. But the residents, like candles with only wicks left, had nothing more to burn. They needed a new fuel called hope. However, Guerrero could not give them such hope. He was already struggling just to keep his own flame alive. Thus, Guerrero's shouts rang hollow. Soon, the faint but increasingly clear sound of the locusts' wings, the fastest of the calamities, began to reach their ears. So in the end, I'm alone. It didn't matter. A king's position was always a lonely one. From the moment he became king, he had never known anything but solitude. Giraro stood alone at the entrance of Frog City, facing the oncoming enemies. Swing! Giraro drew his sword as he looked at the locusts darkening the sky. Unlike Giraro's heart burning with its last flame, the sword's edge was piercingly cold. You have arrived at Rasia. Camouflage. Though this world had no one stronger than Sejun, as a naturally cautious being, Sejun hid himself first. Then he looked around. What's this? Why is this place like this? It was the first time he'd seen a city so devoid of vitality. The frog residents of the city were breathing and alive, but their eyes were all dead. Just then, Cake-wek. Whir. The mushroom ants and poisonous bees that had come with Sejun began searching frantically for him, distressed at not being able to see him. Guys, I'm over here. Sejun quickly deactivated his camouflage and revealed himself. Cake-wek. Whir. The mushroom ants and poisonous bees swarmed around Sejun in relief and joy. All right, you must have been really worried, huh? Sejun soothed them and opened his void storage. But syncing the void storage of Black Towers Park Sejun with Rasia. 1 hour remaining until synchronization is complete. An unexpected issue had arisen: synchronization. Synchronization. How am I supposed to survive alone for an hour without the others? Sejun was flustered. Just then, boom! A loud explosion sounded from nearby. What was that? As Sejun cautiously approached the source of the sound. Die! He saw a frog slightly larger than the others, swinging his sword while surrounded by an enormous number of locusts. He's strong. The frog was indeed powerful. But, he's still weaker than me. He was far weaker than Sejun. Both Giraro and the Calamities were no match for Sejun. Although the sunfish was looked down upon on the 99th floor of the Black Tower, there were hardly any beings who could threaten him elsewhere. This place seems worth getting involved with. Guys, it's dangerous, so stay back. Realizing he could handle things here, Sejun instructed the mushroom ants and poisonous bees that had followed him to stand back. Clink! He picked up a sword lying on the ground. Whoosh! He lightly swung it toward the sky, where the locusts were swarming. And then, whoong! With a loud sound disproportionate to its strength, a sword wind sliced through the locusts. Though it was a crude attack relying only on strength, but you have slain the first calamity, the locust. It was more than enough to tear the locusts to shreds. Wung. Like swatting flies, Sejun kept swinging the sword, taking down the locusts. Crack! The sword broke midway through, but there were plenty of swords lying around, so he picked up another and continued killing the locusts. In the meantime, giant blood-sucking leeches, fire moths, and petrifying spiders joined forces with the locusts to start blocking Sejun's sword wind attacks. Crash! But Sejun hurled the sword with full force, as if it were a throwing star, taking down the calamities. You have slain the second calamity, the giant blood-sucking leech. You have slain the third calamity, the fire moth. You have slain the fourth calamity, the petrifying spider. With each throw of the sword, calamities fell in droves wherever the blade landed. Cake-wek. Whir. The quick-thinking mushroom ants and poisonous bees, as if in sync with Sejun, brought him more swords from the surroundings, allowing him to keep throwing swords without pause. Crash. The number of calamities dwindled rapidly. At that moment, slosh. Slowly yet unstoppably, the fifth calamity, the slime, approached where Sejun was. The slime devoured the corpses of the fallen calamities as it advanced toward him. Don't touch my meat. Create thundercloud, TL. It's been a long time since this has been used, but if you guys don't remember, it's one of the first skills he gained for creating rain and clouds. I haven't even tasted the fire moths and petrifying spiders yet. Enraged at the slime stealing his meat, Sejun created thundercloud in the sky and then throw thunder. Crash! As the lightning struck the slime, the scent of delicious roasted pork began wafting through the air. Who is that? Giroro, who had paused his battle, looked at Sejun with awe-filled eyes. The power to kill thousands of calamities with a mere gesture, and to wield divine lightning on top of that. Could he be a god? As Giroro recalled the long-lost god of the frogs. Kuo. Thud, thud. From afar, an aura of malevolence began closing in, as the sixth calamity, the ogre, who had been directing the others from the shadows, now started charging toward Frog City. "Oh God, please save us," Giroro prayed as he looked at Sejun. But camouflage. Sejun quickly hid himself. A sunfish must know when to strike and when to retreat. Combat Shop Headquarters. "What's that book, Battler? Are you thinking of adopting a cat?" Bev asked, who had entered the house with thunder. "Something like that, don't ask." Battler, holding back a surge of emotions, answered quietly. He couldn't exactly explain that he had become a slave. "Really? So prickly?" As Bev was about to switch topics, Park Sejun, the tower farmer of the Black Tower, is now confronting an unbeatable foe, the sixth calamity ogre. A message appeared before Bev. "Kuahaha, as expected of our Park Sejun, truly a brave warrior. I knew I could count on him." Bev laughed heartily. "This is the perfect time. I'll bestow upon you the achievement of courage, and if you defeat it one-on-one, I'll grant you 5 achievements of courage." Bev hurriedly sent the offer to Sejun. Blocked, why? But once again he was blocked. Then, "Park Sejun, you mean that farmer from the Black Tower?" Hearing a familiar name, Battler asked Bev. "Ha, that's right. Battler, it seems you've already had your eye on our Park Sejun too. Well, Park Sejun is a great and brave warrior. You as the god of battle might be in tur." "What nonsense! Why would I be interested in such a weak farmer?" "Weak, I mean, well, that's true. But still, our Park Sejun is a fearless warrior who even fought against an apostle of destruction." HMPH. Instead of him, keep an eye on the cat next to him. Park Theo is truly extraordinary. When Bev praised Theo, Thunder jumped in with his own opinion. "What are you talking about? Kyungi Park, who's next to Park Sejun, is the best. That guy is a born warrior." Thunder passionately defended Kyungi, whom he'd pegged as a true warrior. "What are you saying? Park Sejun is the most courageous. Park Theo is the real fearsome one, I'm telling you. No one can match Kyungi's natural talent." And so they ended up in a heated debate over who was the most outstanding warrior among Sejun, Theo, and Kyungi. However, it was a completely meaningless conversation. Sejun, Theo, and Kyungi had absolutely no interest in becoming warriors. The pointless argument continued for quite a while until, "All right, you guys just go home." Battler finally kicked Bev and Thunder out. He had important things to take care of now. Good time for practice. Having finally mastered 1,000 ways to completely win a cat's heart, Battler was ready to put it into action. "First, I should probably win him over with some food, right? For cat food. Obviously, it has to be a live mouse." Battler sent Theo a live mouse, and of all things it was a hamster. The book said not to act friendly right after giving food, so, yawn should I get some sleep. Battler, who hadn't slept a wink while mastering the book, yawned, lay down on his bed, and immediately fell asleep. And then, spare me, I'm sorry. That night Battler had a nightmare. Kairo kai, o kairo kairo kairo. Puhuhut Battler, stop right there, meow. It was a dream where a giant Theo, with a strange-sounding white hamster attached to his tail, was chasing him. Bev, the god of courage, offers you 5 achievements of courage if you fight the 6th calamity ogre, one-on-one. How am I supposed to fight that thing one-on-one? Blocked. Sejun, faced with the terrifyingly fierce gaze of the ogre in front of him, immediately blocked Bev. Sniff, sniff. The ogre was busy sniffing around near Sejun, who was using his camouflage skill. It seemed to sense a familiar presence. The durable spider silk camouflage suit made by Ji Gomi perfectly concealed Sejun's energy. But the ogre, highly sensitive to any trace of battle aura, had picked up on even the tiniest hint of Sejun's energy. Please just go away. As a result, Sejun was holding his breath, feeling like he was going to die from the tension. The only fortunate thing was that the ogre's full attention was on him, which meant that the mushroom ants, poisonous bees, and the residents of Frog City, who were hiding under Sejun's orders, were safe. Sniff, sniff. While the ogre was busy sniffing for Sejun's scent. Since I can endure once as a master of deflection anyway. Sejun prepared for battle. Plan A. Take out the orb of death's energy and use the harvester of death skill to kill the ogre. If the first attack failed, Plan B. Eat the black bean set. Then rely on his talent, Master of Deflection, which guarantees a 99% chance of deflecting the first attack to survive the incoming blow. With his enhanced strength, he would then summon the divine relic Earthblade and use power, Earthblade. All right, perfect. Just as Sejun was finalizing his plan and preparing to attack the ogre. Clang. Chairman Park, I missed you, meow. The void storage opened, and Theo launched himself at Sejun. Meow. Qo. In midair, Theo's eyes met those of the ogre standing next to Sejun. Don't you dare scare Chairman Park, meow. Wham! Quickly stepping through the air to change direction, Theo swung around and struck the ogre on the back of the head, knocking it out cold. And then, chewy, chewy, chewy. As expected of Sejun Company's unrivaled second-in-command, the great hybrid Vice Chairman Theonim, absolutely splendid. Clab, clab, clab. At the entrance of the void storage, a brown hamster, one Sejun had never seen before, was clapping enthusiastically, praising Theo for saving his life. Chapter 526, Puhu Hut. So many things have happened, meow. Kyung Kyung. Dad, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? Kaying, kaying, kaying. Butler, are you all right? Don't worry anymore, the great Blackie will protect you. Following Theo, Kyungi and Blackie family emerged from the void storage and threw themselves at Sejun, who had been alone for over an hour. Kyuhiha. Kivihit. Once Kyungi and Blackie family confirmed that there was nothing wrong with Sejun's body, they rubbed their bodies against his, showering him with affection. Puhuhut. Since they dared to target the life of the great hybrid Chairman Park, they must become full-time employees, meow. Meanwhile, Theo took out a stamp, preparing to stamp it on the back of the ogre's head. But Theo, how did you get out? Sejun asked Theo curiously. Originally, there should have been about 20 more minutes until the void storage synchronization was complete. And who is this hamster? Chewy, chewy, chewy. Hello, great hybrid Chairman Parknim. While I'm here, I will serve you with utmost loyalty. Lick, lick. The brown hamster, who was trying to stick out its tongue to lick his shoes, was a bit much to handle. Stop that. As Sejun moved his foot away. Dedada. The brown hamster, refusing to give up, quickly rushed toward Sejun's shoe. However, swish, swish. Since the brown hamster's agility wasn't that high, it couldn't catch up to Sejun's shoe no matter how much it ran. Not wanting to keep playing this game of tag, Sejun grabbed the brown hamster by the scruff of its neck. Chewy, chewy. Please don't do this. Please grant me the honor of licking the great hybrid Chairman Parknim's shoe. The brown hamster whined, wiggling its 4 short legs. Just to be sure, Sejun took a quick look and confirmed that it was male. Phew, that was a relief. It seemed like there wouldn't be a bloodshed over this. As Sejun breathed a sigh of relief. Puhu Hut, so many things have happened, meow. Theo began to speak with a nostalgic expression. 30 minutes ago, Sejun's void storage. Meow. I missed the great hybrid Chairman Park, meow. Theo was waiting with a blank expression for the void storage to open. Battler, the god of battle, says he picked this up on the way and tells you to enjoy eating it. Battler, the god of battle, sends down a brown hamster. In front of Theo, who was waiting, a brown hamster appeared along with a message from Battler. Chui chuik. Kogkat hiik. The brown hamster, who had been offered as a sacrifice by the god, saw Theo and immediately sensed its impending doom. A mouse in front of a cat. All the mouse could do was shiver, shiver, trembling in fear at the horrible future that awaited. However, Hawk, hawk, how dare you give me, hybrid Vice Chairman Theo, a creature of the same species as Iona, to eat. Battler, you won't get away with this when we meet, meow. Rather than eating the hamster, the cat was angry at the god who had sent it and, Hell Nim, can you hear me, meow? I want to send this one back, meow. Since Battler didn't respond, Theo started talking to another god, hoping to find a way to send the brown hamster back. A cat talking to gods, incredible. The brown hamster gazed at Theo with eyes full of reverence. Killahit kaying. He, newcomer are you? Then you should have come to greet the great Blackinim first. TL, it's actually are you a newcomer? But I was imagining Blackie talking like Yoda, beaming face with smiling eyes. Blackie barked at the brown hamster and, Chewy chewy. I apologize, new hamster recruit Calche reporting in. Calche hurriedly lowered his head and introduced himself. Killahit kaying. He, your name is Calche. Chewy chewy. Yes, my teeth are brown, so my name is Calche. TL, Cal Kogoinus, comes from Kolgusak Inus, meaning brown, and Kai Kochi Inus, means tooth. Calche showed his brown teeth as he spoke. Killahit kaying. He, I really like the name of this rookie. It sounds like a name our butler would give. After establishing the hierarchy with Calche, Blackie went back to playing. And then, meow, this place is synchronizing, meow. Through hell, Theo learned that Sejun had already arrived in Rasia. At that moment, meow, the great hybrid Chairman Park is in danger, meow. Sejun's knee detector alerted him to the danger he was in. Hell Nim, synchronize it quickly, meow. If you refuse, I'll push for impeachment, meow. So Theo hurriedly threatened Hell, and as a result, the synchronization finished 20 minutes earlier than scheduled. I'll have to do something nice for Hell Nim later. Thinking of Hell, who must have had a hard time, Sejun pondered a reward. By the way, is your name really Calche? Chewy. Yes. Calche, held in Sejun's hand, smiled and proudly showed off his neat brown teeth. That's a pretty clever name. Chewy. Thank you. Calche was filled with joy, having his name acknowledged by the most esteemed person here. Stamp. As Theo finished his story, he stamped the back of the unconscious ogre's head. However, meow, this being is contaminated with the energy of destruction. Unable to make employee with the 9 dragons, employee contract seal. Red energy repelled the seal, preventing the stamp from being made. Stamp. Become a full-time employee of Sejun Company, meow. Theo, refusing to give up, kept stamping, but the seal still wouldn't take, and frustration started to show on Theo's face. Vice Chairman Theo, what's wrong? Sejun asked, noticing Theo's frustration. Chairman Park, the stamp won't stick, meow. It won't stick. That's right, meow. It says it's contaminated with the energy of destruction, so I can't make it an employee, meow. Really, destruction devourers, come out for a moment. Sejun called out the destruction devourers, who had been absorbing the energy of destruction emitted from Alice's body in the void storage. Try absorbing the energy. He instructed them to absorb the energy of destruction from the ogre's body. Chomp. The devourers diligently absorbed the energy of destruction from the ogre's body. As they did, the red ogre's body began to turn white. No, it was turning transparent, starting to dissipate. A calamity is a being composed of the energy of destruction. To strip it of this energy meant death. Death was the only way to be freed from destruction, unless one possessed special abilities like Blackie family. Oh, guys, stop. Realizing belatedly that the ogre was vanishing, Sejun shouted, and the devourers froze mid-bite in awkward positions. No, you can move, just don't eat the energy of destruction. Kiki, Kiki. At Sejun's words, the devourers nodded and closed their mouths. This ruins my plan. Sejun had intended to restore the people to the ogre King Les, the boss of the 99th floor of the White Tower, but now he was troubled as he looked at the ogre. Purifying the energy of destruction would cause it to vanish. It was a situation where he couldn't do one thing or the other. Meanwhile, the ogre's body continued to become more transparent. Once the dissipation began, the energy of destruction was scattering. Sejun, who had been watching the ogre and contemplating for a while. Should I just let it disappear? Just when his thoughts had almost completely leaned toward disposing of the ogre. Oh! He sensed a certain energy from within the ogre's body. A hot, dynamic, and powerful black energy. It was battle aura. And then, he LPMA. The ogre's battle aura communicated through Sejun's own battle aura, asking Sejun for help. Me fight. It wanted to fight against destruction. I promised our King Lesnim that I would buy time. It wanted to keep its promise, a plea so earnest that it was impossible to refuse. All right. So Sejun decided to respond to the request. He didn't know how he could help the ogre. But the ogre's desperation moved his heart, and he had a vague certainty that his own meager battle aura would reveal a way. Clasp. As Sejun placed his hand on the ogre's vanishing body. Buzz. The ogre's battle aura resonated with Sejun's. And then, Suraruk. The battle aura that escaped from the ogre's body settled into Sejun's. It wasn't absorbed by Sejun's own battle aura. Thank you. The ogre's battle aura persisted as an independent force, existing solely as the ogre's battle aura. It was merely residing temporarily in Sejun's body until it could find a new vessel. It said there would be a way when they went to Ogre King Les. With that, as the ogre's battle aura transferred into Sejun's body. Pass a sec. The ogre's body disintegrated. You have defeated the 6th Calamity Ogre. You have gained 500 billion experience points. You have leveled up. You have obtained 1 bonus stat point. Strength has increased by 30. Strength potential has increased by 1%. A quest has been triggered. Upon reaching level 130, Sejun received a job quest. The job quest required securing 20 new crop varieties, but since Sejun already had 27 new varieties, he completed it easily. As Sejun annihilated the ogre. Wow, the god of frogs has defeated all the calamities protecting us. Long live the god of frogs. Hooray! Geroro and the residents of Frog City, who had gathered around Sejun on their knees, bowed down to him in reverence. The appearance of the frog god rekindled hope in the hearts of Frog City's residents, and their eyes were ablaze with renewed spirit. But then, that's not true, meow. The great Chairman Park is not the god of frogs, meow. Theo poured cold water on their fervor, putting a stop to their cheers. He had to. Chairman Park is a god greater than the god of frogs, meow, because Garon, the god of frogs, is my subordinate, meow, and I am Vice Chairman Theo, the right hand of Chairman Park. My subordinate Garon, come out, meow. There was indeed a separate god of frogs. To be precise, he was the god of jewel frogs, but since he was still a frog, it would be fine. Theonym, did you call me? Garon, the god of frogs, answers your call and manifests before Theonym. Garon, who had been pestering Theo to summon him, emerged from the water with a grand presence, speaking in a dignified voice. He had dressed up as much as he could, especially in front of other frogs. And then, oh, it's truly the god of frogs. Long live frog god Garon Nim. The majestic appearance of Garon, a god who shared the same frog form as them, was enough to fill the hearts of the frogs with awe and pride. Then your subordinate, the slave of Theoparch, the god of jewel frogs, Garon, is being praised by the residents of Rhessia. Currently, Rhessia has no guardian deity. Would you like to appoint Garon, the god of jewel frogs, as the proxy guardian deity of Rhessia? A message appeared before Sejun. Yes. Sejun immediately approved. Garon had been working hard under Theo for a long time, so it was time for him to find some freedom. When Sejun appointed Garon as the proxy guardian deity of Rhessia. Long live Sejun Nim, long live Theo Nim. Thank you so much. Garon shouted in gratitude. Long live Sejun Nim, long live Theo Nim. The frog residents echoed Garon's cheers. At that moment, flash, light began to radiate from Calchai's body. This was Hell's arrangement, completed to send Calchai back home. Chewy chewy. It looks like it's time for me to go back now. Goodbye, everyone. All right, take care. Chewy chewy. Yes, if you ever come to Hamk, please make sure to visit me. Calchai waved his two front paws enthusiastically and returned to where he originally came from. All right then, let's go hunt down the other calamities. Yes, I will lead the way. Having become the proxy guardian deity, Garon now had the authority to observe the situation in Rhessia in detail. He carried Sejun and his party. Leap leap. Setting off to deal with the remaining calamities attacking the Blue Tower. And then, let's follow Garon Nim. Yes. Giroro gathered all his forces and followed behind them. In the small hamster village of Hattori in Hamk. Flash. Kaiwik. Calchai. Twitwi. Calchai has returned. As Calchai, who had once been offered as a sacrifice to Battler, the god of battle, reappeared in a flash of light, the hamsters cheered in excitement. Chewy chewy. Listen up. I'm about to tell you the story of how I survived meeting a great cat that even dared to defy the gods. With that, Calchai enthusiastically began sharing his adventure story with the other hamsters. Chapter 527, It's Your Fault. Rhessia. Kyungfu. As the shockwave of Kyungfu, fired by Kyungi towards the calamity, came surging forward, intermediate herbalist Kyungi Park has defeated the first calamity, Locust. You've gained 50 experience points, which is 50% of the experience points earned by intermediate herbalist Kyungi. The calamities vanished in an instant, Kyuarg. An ogre who had been commanding the calamities appeared next. Meow. Thud. He was knocked out cold, struck on the back of the head by Theo. Pew Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, it's safe now, meow. Theo, precisely spotting Sejun hidden with camouflage, waved his front paw. Vice Chairman Theo, good job. Pew Hut, that's right, meow. The hybrid Vice Chairman Theo worked overtime today, meow. At Sejun's praise, Theo quickly clung to Sejun's lap, looking quite proud. It was a right he fully deserved after his hard work. With Theo perched on his lap, Sejun arrived in front of the ogre. I'll help you, come this way. Swish. He placed his hand on the unconscious ogre's body and absorbed the battle aura. Done, Vice Chairman Theo, finish him off. Pew Hut, understood, meow meow. Pug. At Sejun's command, Theo defeated the ogre with a single strike of 1 meow slash. Then the ogre's body turned transparent and faded away. The dead ogre left nothing behind except for the battle aura. With the disappearance of the last ogre in Rhessia, you have exterminated the 6th calamity sent by destruction, the ogre. You have achieved a great feat that no one has accomplished before. As a reward for the great feat, the 6th calamity ogre can no longer invade Rhessia. As a reward for the great feat, future stay fees for the 0th floor of the Black Tower will be reduced by 0.5%. Messages appeared. Haha, you just keep giving me things. Sejun chuckled as he looked at the messages. So far, he had leveled up 3 times while defeating the calamities, and the Earth Stay fee had been reduced by a total of 2.1%. In addition, you have exterminated all the calamities that threatened the 5 remaining blue towers in Risia. You have completed the mid-level administrator quest. As a reward for completing the mid-level administrator quest, all stats increase by 100. As a reward for completing the mid-level administrator quest, you have acquired 10 billion tower coins. Even the rewards for completing the mid-level administrator quest were received. However, guys, no time to waste, let's gather quickly. In Sejun's opinion, the biggest gain was the corpses of the calamities. The familiar taste of the locust, the giant blood-sucking leech, and the slime were naturally precious. But who would have guessed that the fire moth and the petrifying spider could yield such unique flavors? Upon trying them in cooking, it turned out that the third calamity, the fire moth, and the fourth calamity, the petrifying spider, also made excellent ingredients. Letter 1E5D. The fire moth had a texture and taste similar to squid, and with the effect of the title, one who cooks calamities, it granted an ability that enhanced fire attacks. The petrifying spider, on the other hand, was a true gem. Its 8 thick legs tasted like crab, while its body meat tasted like lobster. With the petrifying spider, Sejun gained the ability to petrify opponents upon receiving an attack, thanks to the effect of the title, one who cooks calamities. Thrilled with the new ingredients he obtained the previous night, Sejun had whipped up various calamity dishes. Squid sashimi, parboiled squid, fried squid, spicy seasoned squid, steamed crab legs, lobster with butter, and more, along with locust, leech, and slime-based calamity dishes. He ate heartily with the 10,000 frogs who joined, after defeating 3 of the 5 calamity forces, targeting the 5 blue towers. Thanks to this, Sejun increased all his stats by 500 with title, Saint of Feeding, and he also received praise that boosted his mental strength by around 150. Of course, the frogs who ate Sejun's cooking also grew significantly stronger. It was natural, as eating locust-based dishes naturally boosted their stats, and some frogs even awakened talents or acquired skills similar to the effects of the other calamity dishes. Why don't I get any? As Sejun watched the frogs acquiring new talents and skills, he, too, ate eagerly, driven by jealousy. But sadly, all he got was frequent trips to the bathroom. Back to the present. Hut got it, meow. Kyung. Following Sejun's orders, Theo and Kyungi quickly packed the corpses of the calamities into the void storage. Kilahut kaying. Hee big bro, hurry up and load the delicious stuff. Are we going home now? Blackie, stop lurking around here. Kaying. The Blackie family, who were frantically running around, only managing to get in the way of their brothers, were caught by Sejun and tucked into his sling bag. We'll help too. With the help of the frogs, they hurriedly packed up the calamities' corpses. You have completed your duty as a mid-level administrator. You will return to the Black Tower 99th floor in 5 hours. A message appeared, saying he'd be sent back in 5 hours. When he was in a rush to leave, the system would give him the most expensive express ticket. But now that the urgency had passed, it gave Sejun the cheapest local ticket. Though the system was treating Sejun like he was a complete nobody. 5 hours. He had gained time. To Sejun, this was actually a bonus, a precious opportunity to increase his stats. Everyone, those who didn't eat with me yesterday, come over here and line up. For the next 5 hours, Sejun cooked the 5 calamities for the frogs, feeding them until they were full, raising all his stats by 300 and his mental strength by 100. And returned after leaving behind lots of food, cooked with calamity corpses, that couldn't be stored because the void storage was full. And then, this is food personally made by Guardian Deity Park Sejun. Do not waste a single morsel. If you're full, then eat till you die. The remaining frogs ate Sejun's cooking and grew even stronger. Blue Tower Administrator Area Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun has achieved the great feat of being the first to exterminate the sixth calamity ogre in Risia, the world protected by the Blue Tower. Exceeded the goal of achieving 5 great feats, one of the growth conditions for the Blue Tower. Completed the requirement to eliminated all 5 of the required 5 sixth calamity ogres, one of the growth conditions for the Blue Tower. One of the growth conditions for the Blue Tower has been achieved. Wuvahata. What a windfall, all thanks to Park Sejun. Kin Astor, the Blue Tower administrator, grinned happily as he read the messages. Just yesterday, Kin had been preparing for battle, worried about Risia's grim state as it faced imminent destruction. But Sejun's arrival turned the situation around 180 degrees in just one day. Meanwhile, the last remaining Red Tower of Kanos will accept Kanos refugees for 1 hour. After 1 hour, the Red Tower will withdraw from Kanos. There were places where the situation had turned 180 degrees in the opposite, more disastrous direction. Hunters in Kanos had been using Sejun's crops effectively to fend off the calamities. But then the Kraken itself descended upon Kanos, and the land fell to ruin in an instant. The Kraken unleashed its fury upon Kanos, venting its rage after the total annihilation of its forces in Risia. As Kanos fell into destruction and began to sink, Red Tower Administrator Ramter Zahir, you may descend upon Kanos. Will you descend? A notification appeared in front of Ramter. Of course, I'll put an end to this today. You will be transported to Kanos in 1 minute. Prepare for battle. Gulp. Ramter disappeared. After eating Sejun's bean set and some well-aged golden samyangju, you have arrived in Kanos. Upon arrival, Ramter saw the massive Kraken, its tentacles wrapped around Kanos, preparing to swallow it whole. Ramter was also enormous, nearly a kilometer in size, but compared to the Kraken, which was large enough to devour an entire planet, he was like an ant. Just one of the Kraken's tentacles was hundreds of times larger than Ramter. QO. Ramter started the battle by first shooting a breath attack toward Kraken's head. With the bean set boosting all his stats by 16 times, and his magic power increased tenfold thanks to the well-aged golden samyangju, Ramter unleashed a red flame breath infused with his immense power. The incredibly powerful breath scorched both the land and sky as it reached Kraken and boom! An enormous explosion erupted, as if erasing the very world itself. However, Kuhaha, that actually hurt a bit. Kraken, the sea-devouring monster and 6th seed of the Apostle of Destruction, managed to withstand Ramter's breath attack with just one of its 8 tentacles. One of its tentacles bore a massive hole, but it was already regenerating rapidly. Arrogant Red Dragon. The Kraken launched a water cannon blast at Ramter. QO. Ramter retaliated with another breath attack, refusing to back down. Water and fire, natural opposites. The clash between the two forces caused the world itself to scream, as it was simultaneously engulfed in flames and drowned. And after an hour of intense fighting, Red Tower Administrator Ramter Zahir, your permitted descent time has ended. Returning to the Red Tower Administrator area. Ramter was forced to return, having failed to inflict significant damage on the Kraken or prevent the fall of Kanos. 2 defeats. He had failed to save Kanos from destruction and had barely damaged the Kraken that was devouring it. Kraken. Unable to contain his frustration, Ramter let out a furious roar. Great beings like him were not accustomed to defeat. And then, QO. Sensing their leader's defeat to destruction through his roar, the other red dragons also bellowed in anger. At that moment, SHHH, an unseen, ominous energy slithered up from the shadows of the red dragons, attempting to infiltrate their bodies. But, ZZZZT. The moment the energy touched the red dragons, it dissipated instantly. This was thanks to the curse-breaking effect of the golden samyangju the dragons had consumed. Unbeknownst to them, The curse of destruction cast upon the dragons was growing stronger each time a world met its end. Had the dragons remained unaware of the curse, they would have eventually fallen into serious peril. And, fahang delicious, the cursed energy tried to invade the body of the red dragon hatchling, Pirian Zahir, who was cheerfully sipping on a drink with floating rice grains. Too young to drink the golden samyanju, Pirian hadn't consumed any. However, FZZZT, the cursed energy that attempted to climb up Pirian's round body, slowly disintegrated. This was thanks to the Sikhai, a traditional rice drink Sejun had specially prepared as a curse-breaking drink for the hatchlings. And so, without even realizing it, the red dragons achieved one small but perfect victory against destruction. You have arrived on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Sejun returned home after just one day away. Home. Though he'd only been gone for a day, he was still overjoyed to be back. And then, clank. Pewhut, I missed you, Chairman Park, meow. Qha. Kivahit. This time Theo, who had gotten rid of the synchronization time by threatening hell early, rushed towards Sejun along with Kyungi and the Blackie family. To them, Sejun was someone they missed terribly, even after just 1 second apart. I missed you guys. Of course, Sejun felt the same way. While Sejun and his companions were having their emotional reunion. Sejun felt a heavy weight pressing on his shoulders, to the point of discomfort. It was a weight that wasn't physically present, but felt very real. It was the battle auras he had absorbed. When he'd taken in one battle aura, it hadn't been noticeable, but with 5 battle auras in his body, the burden was now significant. I need to deliver these quickly. Sejun decided he needed to transfer the battle auras to Ogre King Les as soon as possible. Guys, we're going to have to part again. Meow. Kyung. Kaying. He immediately transported to the 99th floor of the White Tower. Sejun Hyung. Sejun was welcomed warmly by Ajax upon arriving at the White Tower. Ajax, here, eat this. He handed Ajax some dishes he'd prepared from the 5 calamities, then went to find Les. Les, here, take these battle auras. He transferred the 5 battle auras that had been burdening his body over to Les. Thank you for returning my people, Sejun Nim. Les expressed his gratitude to Sejun, carefully accepting the 5 battle auras. The battle auras would absorb the unique energy exuded by Ogre King Les, and eventually reconstruct their bodies. All right, I'll be going. As Sejun was about to step back onto the waypoint to return. Sejun Nim, wait a moment. Les called out to Sejun. What is it? Your battle aura level has increased. Why are you leaving just like that? Huh, my battle aura level increased. Didn't you say I would just know when the level increases? Yes, that's normally the case, but I didn't know. It's your fault. Sejun stared at Les with an accusatory look, not considering his own low talent. Chapter 528. Please don't give me roasted and dried sweet potato. Battler's house. Knock, knock, knock. I was just about to get some sleep. Battler, who had been plagued by nightmares and had only just managed to start drifting into a deep sleep, frowned and covered his ears with a pillow at the sound of knocking. But, knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. The persistent knocking continued, as if it wouldn't stop until he got up. What is it? Finally unable to endure it anymore, Battler got up from bed and opened the door. And there. Battler, you were sleeping. Meanwhile, I had to go through hell because of you. Hell, the god of merchants, glared at Battler as she spoke. And then, why did you send a hamster to Theo? Don't you know Theo's girlfriend is a hamster? This is the divine power invoice for sending back the hamster you sent to Theo. Hell, true to her title as the god of merchants, handed Battler an invoice for all the divine power she spent to return the hamster. Then she hurriedly left, practically fleeing. Total divine power charge, 1,114,123. What? Why is it so expensive? Battler was horrified as he looked at the price on the invoice he'd received from Hell. Void storage synchronization acceleration cost. Divine power 750,000. Labor fee for Hell's hard work. Divine power 350,000. In the middle of the receipt, there were unnecessary charges written in very tiny text, barely noticeable without closer look. 99th floor of the White Tower. Sejun, I'm sorry. The Ogre King Les, the boss of the 99th floor of the White Tower, hastily apologized to Sejun, who was questioning him. Of course, it wasn't because he was afraid of Sejun's gaze. In fact, even now he was itching to speak the fact. It's because of your trashy talent, Sejun. But you should have properly informed my Hyung, Sejun. Under the fierce gaze of Ajax, who was glaring at him with blazing eyes, Les had no choice but to bow his head like a guilty party. It was a wise move befitting a king who ruled over ogres. If Les had dared to voice his thoughts about Sejun's talent being trash, or if he had shown defiance, boom! It would have been like lighting a fuse on gunpowder, setting off a chain reaction of fury starting with Ajax, then Theo, Kyungi, and the rest of the Blackie family, all descending upon him. So now I can learn the technique to strengthen my body with battle aura. Sejun asked Les, who had barely managed to escape this dangerous situation. Yes, absolutely. I'll teach you the ogre secret aura technique, muscle strengthening technique. Les, eager to escape this uncomfortable atmosphere, quickly decided to teach Sejun the battle aura technique and send him on his way. Muscle strengthening technique. Oh, teach me quickly. Hehe, just the name sounds powerful. Sejun's eyes sparkled at Les's words. The muscle strengthening technique was an essential foundational skill that could be called both the beginning and end of battle aura techniques, enhancing every muscle in the body to its limits. Since ogre battle aura techniques generally put immense strain on the body, strong muscles were essential. Knowing the importance of this technique, the ancestors of the ogres had devised a method over thousands of years to make learning the muscle strengthening technique easy. Now, even a 5-year-old ogre could master the technique with just one demonstration. Once someone guided the battle aura through the path, it would circulate throughout the body autonomously, strengthening all the muscles along the way. This was why Les had confidently offered to teach Sejun. It was an unbreakable technique that couldn't fail. Once you get the flow going, stopping it is even harder. There's no easier battle aura technique than this. Then I'll teach you the muscle strengthening technique. Sejun, please sit here. Okay. Les had Sejun sit in front of him and placed his hands on Sejun's back. Move. Wung. Using his own battle aura, Les guided Sejun's battle aura along the path of the muscle strengthening technique, circulating it. Under Les's guidance, Sejun's battle aura started to circulate along the pathways between his skin and muscles. After a moment, Les had completed one cycle of guiding Sejun's battle aura through the path of the muscle strengthening technique. Normally, a single cycle would be enough for the battle aura to move perfectly along the path of the muscle strengthening technique. But just in case, Les, feeling uneasy, circulated Sejun's battle aura one more time. He simply couldn't trust Sejun's talent. So after guiding Sejun's battle aura around the path twice, Sejun, you can do it on your own now, right? He asked, removing his hands from Sejun's back. However, do what? Sejun's face showed he had no idea what Les was talking about. In fact, he looked somewhat aggrieved, as if to say, aren't you supposed to teach me something first before asking if I can do it? Sigh. All right, let's try again. Les placed his hands on Sejun's back and started circulating the battle aura once more. But Sejun's expression remained one of complete bewilderment. He still doesn't get the muscle strengthening technique, even though it's as easy as breathing. Is it because of difference in species? Les finally acknowledged it. There was a significant gap between ogres and humans. Things that ogres could do, just because, through instinct didn't come naturally to Sejun, a human. Realizing that teaching Sejun the muscle-strengthening technique wasn't going to be easy, Les felt a pang of frustration. He wanted to give up, but Ajax was watching closely from beside Sejun, with an intense glare that said, "You better do this properly." So even though he knew it was pointless, Les guided Sejun's battle aura again. At this point, he needed to at least show that he'd put in the effort. 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. Several hours passed like that. Snore. Sejun, overtaken by boredom, had fallen asleep outright. Kirorong. Girorong. Kirorong. Arorong. And his companions, who were leaning against Sejun's body, had also fallen asleep beside him. Wung. Only Les remained, fully focused, continuing to circulate Sejun's battle aura. Wriggle. Perhaps Les's efforts paid off, as the battle aura finally began to move very slowly. At last, the muscle-strengthening technique was imprinted onto Sejun's body. The power of repetition was truly remarkable. And then, arg! Sejun began to scream as all his muscles tore simultaneously from the pain. Pain was essential for muscle growth. Muscle-strengthening technique. It was a rigorous training method suited for the robust bodies of ogres, where battle aura would destroy the muscles and then regenerate them. You'll probably be dealing with severe muscle pain for about a week, Les said, his lips curling into a slight smirk as he watched Sejun writhe in agony. Seed shop headquarters. This time, I'm definitely going to sell my seeds. HMPH. Sorry, but I'm the one who's going to be Trustin Park's choice this time. No way, it'll be me. I've prepared a special seed just for today. How laughable, that's the same seed as last time. The non-combat gods were brimming with enthusiasm, preparing seeds to sell in the upcoming seed shop. The fervor of the non-combat gods was growing stronger every day. It was only natural, considering the rewards from Sejun had risen significantly. In the beginning, the rewards from Sejun were just ordinary temples, but now world proxy guardian positions had been added to the reward options. Moreover, thanks to the divine power brought by the gods who had become proxy guardians, the seed shop headquarters had visibly improved. The non-combat gods could see with their own eyes the impact of the rewards Sejun provided. Of course, it was still nowhere near as grand as the combat shop headquarters. However, just repairing the large holes in the ceiling, where they could once see the stars at night, and the drafty cracks in the walls made the non-combat gods happy. It's a good sight to see. Chaos, the god of chaos and one of the 3 executives of the seed shop headquarters, watched the lively non-combat gods with a pleased smile. Indeed, it's all thanks to Trustin Park. Order, the god of order, smiled and agreed with Chaos's comment. She too was one of the 3 executives of the seed shop headquarters, along with Chaos. Chaos, order, and abundance. These 3 gods acted as executives in the seed shop headquarters, managing the seed shop and the non-combat gods. Order joined Chaos in observing the non-combat gods boast about their seeds. Lee is lucky. She gets to sell the seed of abundance as a proxy guardian. Order murmured as she glanced at the residence of Lee, who was busy completing Inoz's quest. Since meeting Sejun and the establishment of the tower, Lee was experiencing the peak of her power. The seed of abundance sold by Lee held a meaning that far surpassed other gods' transcendence-grade seeds, because they contained the power to bend the causality of the world. Though it was difficult for the seed to hatch, once it sprouted, the reward that returned to the god who created it was substantial. And for some reason it felt like Trustin Park will easily make them sprout. They didn't know why, but it was just a feeling. Perhaps it was because they trusted Park Sejun that much. I'm starting to feel like making a seed myself. Hold yourself back. Our seeds consume way too much divine power. Chaos held order back with those words. The seeds of chaos and order, which twisted causality even more drastically than the seed of abundance, required an enormous amount of divine power. With that kind of divine power, it was a better choice to distribute it among the other non-combat gods to further develop the seed shop headquarters. Just then, Chaosnim ordered him hello, it's been a while. Hell approached them directly and greeted them. I've accumulated quite a bit of divine power recently, so how about receiving an investment from me? In return, create a seed with the invested divine power and give me a share of its equity. With the divine power she'd received from Battler, Hell proposed an investment to Chaos and Order. Normally, she would have opted for a risk-free interest return rather than a share in equity, but the future is with the seed shop headquarters, where Park Sejun is. With her foresight as the god of merchants, Hell decided to invest in this place, where the future looked bright. And we'll take the investment. Chaos and Order answered simultaneously. Even if they had to give up a portion of the equity, creating seeds was more profitable. Thus, with Hell's investment, Chaos and Order also began creating their own seeds. The next morning, Alder Ayug, Sejun, who tried to get up energetically as usual, screamed in pain from muscle soreness. Ugh, damn muscle-strengthening technique. Groans escaped his mouth due to the aching pain all over his body. Vice Chairman Theo, wake up. In a dying voice, Sejun called out to Theo. He couldn't even shake his knee to wake him up because moving hurt so much. After a few desperate calls from Sejun, meow. Theo rubbed his eyes and got up. Press. With his eyes half closed, Theo pressed down on Sejun's body with his front paws. That feels good. Theo's healing massage. After receiving this, Sejun could manage a few hours without muscle pain. Kilahit Kang. Butler, I'll help too. Thump. Blackie also tried to help by stepping on Sejun's body with his paws, but Arg Blackie, you stay still. It didn't have the same healing effect as Theo's. Oh, the butler can't move. Instead, Blackie discovered Sejun's weak spot. Kilahit Kang. Are you going to give me lots of roasted and dried sweet potatoes from now on, or not? Thump. He began pressing his paws on Sejun's body in a threatening manner. Of course, Blackie's pitiful attempt at blackmail was quickly thwarted when Sejun's right hand, now recovered from Theo's massage, grabbed him by the scruff. And then, Blackie, take this and go stand in front of the house. Blackie had to face punishment for what he'd done. Kaying. With a pet sign hanging around his neck, Blackie trudged outside. Plop. Following Sejun's instructions, he sat down in front of the house and began nodding off, his head bobbing up and down as he dozed. The sign around his neck swayed, along with his nodding head. The sign read, I am a bad wolf who went crazy over roasted and dried sweet potatoes and threatened my owner. Please don't give me roasted and dried sweet potatoes. And then, Kyung. Seeing the sign, Kyungi put the roasted and dried sweet potatoes he usually gave to his younger brother Blackie back into his snack pouch and returned inside the house. Whoosh! A sudden gust of wind blew by. Thanks to that, Blackie's appearance looked even more pitiful. Chapter 529. You damned system, someday our Vice Chairman Theo will impeach you. Outskirts of destruction. Jormungandr Nim, I have returned. Kraken, who had destroyed Kanos, returned leading the remaining forces. Good, you've done well. Jormungandr, who had been watching over Hydra and Leviathan as they began their molting, turned to Kraken and spoke. Then I will prepare for the next attack right away. All right, Kraken sought out a world to attack with the remaining forces. This place looks suitable. Kraken chose Ninma, a world guarded by the White Tower. Crack, opening a rift toward Nenma. Calamities, go forth. He sent all remaining Calamity troops to Nenma. At that moment, crunch, a hand emerged from a narrow gap in the black moon and began to forcibly pry it open. And then, snap, thump. From the first calamity, Locust, to the sixth calamity, Ogre, an enormous number of forces started pouring out of the Black Moon. Destruction, enraged by Melpheus's defeat, dispatched even more forces. However, the six calamities weren't the end. Rumble. Following them, 5 massive turtles, each about half the size of Earth, barely squeezed through the gap that destruction had created. These were the most powerful seventh calamity, the planet-destroying turtles. Do not disappoint me again. With those last words, which sounded like a final warning, destruction shut the Black Moon. Jormungandr and Kraken trembled quietly. Hydra and Leviathan, who were in the middle of molting, did too. Calamities, go forth and destroy the worlds. Feeling pressured by destruction's words, Kraken sent some of the calamities that emerged from the Black Gate to Ninmah for a guaranteed victory, while opening rifts to 3 other worlds and dispatching the remaining calamities there. In addition, the planet-destroying turtles were sent to each of the 5 worlds, 1 per world. The planet-destroying turtles were terrifying calamities that could annihilate an entire world on their own. Thus, destruction's offensive struck at the worlds again with its menacing claws. 99th floor of the Black Tower. Slurp. This is good. When Sejun sipped his coffee and gave a thumbs up with an expression of pure satisfaction. Kyuhiha. Kyungi grinned widely and clung to Sejun's side, rubbing his head against Sejun's body. Kilahit Kaying. He butler, me too. Blackie, trying to make up for his earlier mistakes, also rubbed his head against Sejun's leg. But, Blackie, if you've finished eating, go back to your punishment. Sejun's punishment for Blackie wasn't over yet. Kaying. With a sullen expression, Blackie returned to his spot in front of the house, wearing a sign around his neck like a prisoner. Haha, so cute. Seeing Blackie and his subordinates like that softened Sejun's heart. I'll just drink coffee and soothe them. Slurp. Sejun drank his coffee faster than usual, stood up, and tab. As casually as he could, he picked up Blackie and placed him in his sling bag. Kikahiyat. Thanks to that, Blackie and the other subordinates quickly cheered up. When Sejun, carrying Blackie, woke up earlier than usual. Puhu Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, I'm off to work hard today too, meow. Kyung. Kyungi will work hard gathering herbs too. Theo and Kyungi also left for work earlier than usual, with the two heading off to the 4th floor of the Golden Tower and the herb garden. Clank. Hello, little ones. Sejun entered the void storage and planted the seeds of the destruction pioneers and destruction devourers. The calamity corpses that had been stored in the void storage were moved to a storage room with preservation magic, leaving plenty of space again in the void storage. For reference, before breakfast, he stopped by the 10th tower and used the accumulated power of creation to upgrade the tower. The lighthouse of creation, which had been completed 5 days ago and could burn destruction, required 300,000 L of creation energy per hour to operate, so it was currently turned off. He had tried using it, but the lighthouse's range was too short to be of much help. Good, I've planted all the seeds I got. Once Sejun finished planting the seeds, he started harvesting the fruits. You have harvested the electrified gold kiwi. You're a field LV. 9 has activated, inflicting additional damage. You're a field LV. 9 has activated, harvesting the stats of Alice, the mesmerizing spider and 9th seed of the Apostles of Destruction. Strength plus 35, Stamina plus 25, Agility plus 45, Magic Power plus 45. Hezeli. Sejun smiled contentedly while harvesting stats again today. But then your stamina stats potential has reached its limit. Your magic power stats potential has reached its limit. You can no longer absorb stamina and magic power stats. The acquired stamina and magic power stats are returned to nature. As the stamina and magic power stats were returned, Sejun's battle aura grew stronger. But he grimaced as the muscle pain throughout his body intensified with the strengthening of his battle aura. All 30 points of stat potential which he had gained through the power, Sunfish Core, had already been maxed out during breakfast. And now there was no one around to help him. Theo and Kyungi, who usually gave him massages, were both at work. Urg. Unable to avoid it, Sejun endured the muscle pain and continued working. Les said that even if muscles hurt, moving around helps the pain go away faster. However, you have harvested the scorching cherry. Strength plus 35, stamina plus 30, agility plus 35, magic power plus 50. The acquired stamina and magic power stats are returned to nature. Once again, stat harvesting increased his battle aura and intensified his muscle pain. Arg. Unable to bear the intensified muscle pain, Sejun just lay down on the ground. Lying down was the position that involved the least muscle movement. As he lay there resting, Seed Shop is now open. A message appeared in front of Sejun. The 14th Seed Shop had opened. Park Sejun-nim's rank is Transcendent. 7 types of seeds, including Transcendence grade seeds, are randomly displayed for today's sale. At your current rank, you can purchase as many seeds as you want within a 500 tower coins limit. Moonfruit Seed, Transcendence grade, 150 tower coins plus 270 pieces of world's energy. Generous Green Onion Seed, Transcendence grade, 100 tower coins plus 130 pieces of world's energy. 10,000 carrot seeds, 300 tower coins. 10 durian seeds, 100 tower coins. 5 pine tree seeds, 80 tower coins. 100 bok choy seeds, 50 tower coins. 50 cabbage seeds, 30 tower coins. If I buy all the Transcendence grade seeds, I'll have 250 tower coins left. Sejun calculated the prices as he reviewed the seeds. I already have carrots, so I'll skip that, but 300 tower coins for 10,000 seeds. Why is that so expensive? I've never tried durian, so I'll buy it. And I should get pine trees since Christmas is in 3 months. Last year he had missed out, but this year he was determined not to forget. He grinned, imagining himself dressed as Santa, giving presents to the others. Then, with 70 tower coins left, Sejun pondered whether to choose bok choy or cabbage. I'll go with cabbage. He chose cabbage, which he could use in various dishes. Once Sejun finished selecting his seeds, you have paid a total of 460 tower coins and 400 pieces of world's energy to purchase Moonfruit Seed, Generous Green Onion Seed, Durian Seed, Pine Tree Seed, and Cabbage Seed. 460 tower coins have been deducted from Park Sejun-nim's seed bank account. 600 points have been accumulated in the seed shop's mileage points. You currently have a total of 14,601 seed shop mileage points. You have spent 400 pieces of world's energy. 400 seed shop coupons have been issued. The only item currently available for exchange is the seed shop random period reduction tickets. The 400 seed shop coupons have been automatically exchanged for 4 seed shop random period reduction tickets. Along with many messages, 5 leather pouches containing seeds and 4-time reduction tickets appeared in Sejun's hands. Struggling, Sejun painfully moved both arms to rip. Tear the reduction tickets. You have used the seed shop random period reduction ticket. 1 day, 2 days, 1 day. Fortunately, one of the tickets yielded 2 days, so with the 4 random time reduction tickets, he managed to reduce the time by 5 days. To think I have to call this good luck. Sejun suddenly felt a pang of emptiness inside. If only he had Theo's golden front paw. With the help of Theo, the king of luck, the seed shop could have opened by now. You damned system, someday our vice chairman Theo will impeach you. With that thought, Sejun drifted off to sleep, hoping that Theo would avenge him one day. Kurn. He fell asleep. The ground, warmed by the sunlight, was pleasantly cozy. And then, Kilahit Kaying. He followed the leader. Blackie, who was playing leader with the Destruction Devourers. Kaying. Butler, are you asleep? Poke poke. Blackie cautiously approached Sejun and nudged him with his front paw. He didn't want to risk getting punished again. Kurr. In response, only the sound of Sejun's snoring was heard. Kilahit kaying. He is Butler asleep, then I'll sleep too. The Blackie family snuggled into the warm space under Sejun's arm. He so warm. Kurorong. They quickly drifted off to sleep. A few hours later. Pew Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, I've returned, meow. Theo, who had sold out all of Sejun's crops, returned and ran over to Sejun. Kurr. Kurorong. Iamrarong. Meow. Theo found Sejun and the Blackie family asleep, lying on top of Alice, the apostle of destruction. Pew Hut, is it nap time, meow? Plop. Theo climbed onto Sejun's lap, intending to join in on the nap. Love you. Sejun groaned in pain. Meow, muscle pain again, meow. Press. As Theo started massaging Sejun's body with his front paws. Smile. As Theo continued, the pained expression on Sejun's face began to soften. While Theo was massaging Sejun. Kyung. Dad, Kyungi's back. Dad, are you hurting again? Kyungi, who had returned from gathering herbs, noticed Sejun and joined Theo in massaging him. I must have dozed off. As Sejun opened his eyes, the fatigue from the muscle pain had disappeared. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, are you awake, meow? Kyung. Dad, are you not hurting anymore? Theo and Kyungi clung to Sejun's knee and sighed. Yes, thanks to Theo and Kyungi's massage, I'm not in pain anymore, thank you. As Sejun patted both of their heads. Pew Hut. Kyuiha. Both of them smiled happily, their faces filled with joy. Kaying. On the other hand, Blackie, who had been enjoying the warmth, frowned when Sejun stood up, and with his eyes still closed, he started to wriggle around, searching for the warm scent of his butler. Flop. He so warm. He nestled his face against Sejun's backside and drifted off to sleep again. He so soft. Pew Hut. Kyuiha. Kurorong. As everyone enjoyed their peaceful time together. Sejun. Need you. Help. From afar, black, white, and purple dragon statues came flying swiftly. Strangely, the red dragon statue, which was usually with them, was nowhere to be seen. And then, so you're asking me to make some strong liquor to help Ramternim regain his spirits. They explained the reason for their visit. They wanted Sejun to help Ramter, who was struggling with feelings of anger, guilt, and defeat after losing Kanos. And why did they understand Ramter's emotions so well? Because all three dragons had experienced it themselves. When the number of worlds they had managed and subsequently lost to destruction was added up, it easily surpassed 1,000. So they understood Ramter's devastated heart well. Strong liquor, hug K-Kabai, help me out. Shallering. After a moment of contemplation, Sejun called on K-Kabai, who possessed the power of decay, and began working on creating a new brew to help Ramter recover his spirit. Combat Shop Headquarters. You bastard, do you have any idea how much divine power I wasted because of you? You said cats like live mice. Battler shouted as he grabbed Hunt, the god of hunting and author of 1,000 Ways to Completely Win a Cat's Heart, by the collar. Please wait a second, Battlernim. Hunt, who was caught by the collar, hurriedly opened his mouth. If he stayed silent, he was definitely going to get hit. A cat that doesn't like mice, Battlernim, you just had bad luck. It's a rare case. A rare case? Yes, but don't worry. With this new book I recently finished, you won't have any problems. With a confident tone, Hunt handed Battler another book. 7 Ultimate Techniques to Get Chosen by a Cat as Its Owner. This time it's the real deal, right? Of course, I am Hunt, the god of hunting who knows and perfectly understands the habits of every animal. Hunt replied with a self-assured expression to Battler's question. All right, I'll trust you one more time. Battler took the book and went back home, diving into study mode once again. Chapter 530, This Time I Won't Lose. The 66th floor of the Black Tower. In an antique shop within the Red Fortress, ruled by red orcs. Misfortunenem, is this the one? Coin of certain defeat. Urin asked, picking up a black coin with tails on both sides from a pile of rusty coins. Then Misfortune, the god of misfortune, says that is indeed her divine relic. Misfortune, the god of misfortune, is delighted, saying it's fortunate to easily locate her own relic despite being the king of misfortune. Misfortune responded cheerfully, and then, Pio, this is the first time something like this has happened. Piat, who had followed Urin, looked at Urin with shock. Except for the time lost gathering information from the 99th floor of the Black Tower down to here, their journey had been remarkably smooth. They hadn't encountered a single monster, bandit, or even a fragment of Jormungandr, the apostle of destruction. Furthermore, Urin had located the coin among countless others in a pile, almost as if he were as lucky as Theo, the king of luck. But it made sense. Each day, Urin used the misfortune-swallowing amulet to prevent one large mishap. More importantly, as the king of misfortune, Urin's very act of searching for the divine relic of misfortune, the god of misfortune, was essentially a direct march toward misfortune, nullifying other misfortunes along the way. A negative combined with another negative results in a positive plus. The god of misfortune urges you to try using the divine relic. Yes. At misfortune's urging, Urin infused the relic with magic power. The game of certain defeat begins. Today's stakes are 10 billion tower coins. If the tails side of the coin appears, you lose. However, if the coin lands on its edge, you will receive 1,000 times the stake. Please toss the coin. Messages appeared. The divine relic, the coin of certain defeat, initiated a random wager daily, betting an amount that the owner could never win. Whiz. Following the message's instructions, Urin tossed the coin. Clink. The coin landed on the floor, showing the tails side. It was, of course, expected both sides of the coin were tails. You lose. 10 billion tower coins have been taken as the stake. In sympathy, a bit of your misfortune has been taken as well. The divine relic, which took money but also absorbed a little misfortune. Thanks to this, Urin felt just a bit less unlucky today. And then, Misfortune, the god of misfortune, urges you to hurry up and search for her final remaining divine relic. Urged by misfortune, Urin and Piat set off once more to find the last divine relic of misfortune, the god of misfortune. It seemed that this journey would be smooth as well. 99th floor of the Black Tower. Crash. Sejun poured about half of the scorching cherries into a jar. The moment he heard the word strong alcohol, he recalled the fire carrot wine made by Udon, the tower farmer of the Red Tower. He decided to make an even fiery drink using the scorching cherries. Of course, he wasn't just going to make alcohol. He was planning to add spicy seafood stew as a side dish. With a spicy side to accompany the strong drink, it would surely boost his spirits even more. Rustle. Sejun poured sugar into the jar with the cherries and stirred them with a stick to mix the cherries and sugar together. As he stirred, he intentionally crushed the cherries. Crushing the cherries would allow their rich aroma to infuse more deeply into the drink. After mixing the cherries and sugar, gurgle gurgle, he added the alcohol, specifically soju that had been distilled from samyeonju made with level 1 golden rice to increase the alcohol content. Once it was prepared, fermentation. Sejun placed his hand on the sealed jar and used his skill to speed up the process. He wanted to complete the cherry wine quickly so he could deliver it to Ramter, who was feeling weak, using fermentation LV. 5. The fermentation period is shortened by a day and a half thanks to fermentation LV. 5. Fermentation LV. 5 speeds up the process slightly. Fermentation LV. 5 deepens the flavor slightly. Your proficiency in fermentation LV5 increases slightly. Shallowing. Kabai assisted Sejun from the side by using the power of decay to support the fermentation process. While Sejun and Kabai worked hard to make the cherry wine delicious through careful fermentation. Puhu Hut. Here comes Vice Chairman Hybrid Theo, the master of fishing meow. Kuehe Kuang. Hehe, honorary member of the Hybrid Protection Association, Kuangi, is also great at catching fish. Under Sejun's instructions, Theo and Kuangi were busy catching seafood from the cave pond to use in the spicy seafood stew. Meanwhile, Kivahit. Except for Kabai, the unhelpful Blackie family was just playing around running through the farm. That was what Sejun wanted from the Blackie family anyway, just don't cause trouble. As each person focused on their roles, the sun eventually set, and a gentle starlight illuminated the darkened sky, taking its place. The starlight wasn't as dazzling as the sun, but it was enough to brighten the night sky. It was like Sejun, who, despite being strong himself, was often treated like a sunfish among the ultra-strong. All right, it's done. As Sejun, who had been working tirelessly late into the evening without even eating, shouted, "You have achieved the feat of being the first in the tower to create well-aged, extremely fiery cherry wine. The recipe for the well-aged, extremely fiery cherry wine has been registered under the cooking master skill." Messages appeared. Just as the fermentation process was finishing up, Kabai used the power of decay to age the wine, completing the maturation process perfectly. Hehe, let's see how it turned out. Sejun checked the options of the cherry wine, the product of his hard work, well-aged extremely fiery cherry wine. A wine made with soju distilled from golden samyangju made with golden rice, +1, grown by the tower farmer Park Sejun of the Black Tower, and brewed with scorching cherries and sugar. The rich aroma of cherries is deeply infused. Upon consumption, enhances fire attribute abilities, and its powerful energy of fire with powerful dispelling effects burns away curses, amplifying magic power by 2000% for 20 seconds. If consumed by a god with fire-related divinity, increases divine power by 150, increases divine power by 100 for other divinities. If unable to handle the intense heat of the well-aged extremely fiery cherry wine, the fire may burn the body itself. Chef Park Sejun, Tower Farmer of the Black Tower. Assistant Chef Kabai. Usage restrictions. Requires over 5 million magic power or at least 1 million divine power. Shelf life 1,000 years. GR. This should be strong enough, right? Sejun looked at the wine's options with a satisfied expression. Then, could you each take a sip and let me know how it is? He went to the dragons by the fountain and asked them to taste the wine. The dragons who transferred the wine glasses, Sejun poured to their main bodies through their mouths. They were silent for over a minute, or rather, they couldn't speak, overwhelmed by the lingering impression left by the wine. When they drank, whoosh, their mouths were filled with the rich cherry aroma, accompanied by an intense sweetness. Gulp. As the wine went down, they could feel the heat all the way down their throats, as if it were burning its way through their esophagus. It was so hot it seemed like their throats were aflame. The wine continued down their throats, spreading warmth throughout their bodies, starting from their stomachs, and the dragons felt an odd sense of comfort alongside the heat. In contrast, the esophagus, which had been burning moments ago, now felt cool and refreshing. The warmth spreading through their bodies, the coolness in their throats, and the lingering cherry aroma and sweetness in their mouths came together to leave a long-lasting impression on the dragons. Grin. Before they knew it, the dragons were smiling. It's good. Sejun, who had been tense while watching the silent dragons, felt assured upon seeing their smiles. This wine was a success. As Sejun felt confident about the wine and was about to head back. Sejun, I suddenly feel a bit weak. I too feel so weak, I can't do anything. Maybe I'll feel better if I have just one more glass of cherry wine. The dragons spoke in voices that sounded like they were on their last breath. However, you should have drunk moderately. This is a hangover. Sejun, seeing through the dragons, little act of pretending to be weak just to get more of the well-aged, extremely fiery cherry wine, ignored them and headed down from the fountain. Then he quickly made his way to the kitchen to start cooking with Sejun number 1, the side dish. Thunk. Sejun grabbed the largest and best quality fish in the kitchen to prepare it. Meow, great hybrid Chairman Park, you can't use that, meow. That's the fish for my grilled fish, meow. Theo cried out in alarm. Thea Nim, let's give it to Ramter Nim this time. Ramter Nim is not feeling well. Meow, fine, meow. Since it's great hybrid Chairman Park's request, I'll give it up, meow. Theo spoke in a slightly dejected voice, reluctantly giving up his fish. Kyuiha. My octopus is safe. Kyungi chuckled as he watched, relieved. However, Kyungi has to give it up too. When Sejun picked up the huge octopus, he had his eye on and put it in the pot. Kyungi's face fell. Kaying. Great Blackie will win. In the end, only Blackie, who was fighting with an octopus half his size that he had chosen as his dinner, managed to score an unexpected victory in this situation. Kaying. Butler, help me. Along with a definite defeat. Sai, how can my sunfish not even handle a single octopus? Sejun laughed as he pried Blackie free from the octopus, which had its 7 tentacles wrapped around him, with one of its tentacles still in Blackie's mouth. Here, eat this and behave. Kilahit Kaying. Hee okay. Sejun gave Blackie some roasted and dried sweet potato to snack on, and went back to preparing the ingredients. A little while later. Ah, that's good. Sejun exclaimed in delight after tasting the completed spicy seafood stew. Even though he had made it himself, it was incredibly delicious. With the cooking done. Sejun number 1, thank you for all your hard work. Sejun patted Sejun number 1 on the shoulder, who had helped him with the cooking. It was now time to say goodbye. Swish. Sejun number 1, whose time had expired, transformed into a beautiful ivory-colored light and quietly disappeared. You don't realize the presence of someone when they're there, but you feel their absence keenly once they're gone. Sejun felt an immediate emptiness. At that moment, G-ra-ra-ra-ra. The sound of Kyungi's stomach growling. Come to think of it, everyone had skipped dinner while preparing the food and drink for Ramter. Hold on a moment. Sejun hurried back to the fountain. Ramternum, please try this. Put the well-aged, extremely fiery cherry wine and spicy seafood stew into the mouth of the red dragon statue to transfer it. Then, you must be hungry, let's eat dinner quickly. He grilled some fish, fried eggs, and mixed soy sauce and butter into rice, sharing a quick dinner with his companions. Another busy but peaceful day passed by. Red Tower's administrator area. Ramter sat there in a daze, so drained of energy he didn't even have the strength to slightly move the tip of his tail. Then, Ramter's nose twitched at a spicy aroma tickling his nostrils. Gulp! Ramter unconsciously swallowed the saliva that had pooled in his mouth. It was a small movement, but like a small weight moving a huge mass on a lever, it was enough to stir Ramter into action. And then well-aged, extremely fiery cherry wine. Calamity spicy seafood stew. What's this? Ramter turned his head toward the source of the smell and saw the food and drink placed nearby. The stew had an intimidating name because Sejun had added fire moths, which tasted like squid, and the legs of petrifying spiders, which tasted like king crab. Slurp. Ramter started by tasting the spicy seafood stew, which had a mouth-watering aroma. He couldn't help but let out a sigh of satisfaction at the rich, spicy broth. And then, swoosh, his hand naturally reached for the bottle of cherry wine. Pour. He poured a glass and downed it in one shot. This time, a long sigh escaped as the intense sensation of the drink burned down his esophagus. Soon, Ramter was drenched in sweat as he devoured the wine and side dishes. While he was deeply engrossed in his feast, BZZZ, the Red Tower is now connected to a new world, Grima. The crystal orb vibrated, announcing that the Red Tower had connected to a new place. This time I won't lose. Whoosh. Ramter, who had regained his energy by now, was burning with determination. Because of this, the remaining wine and food evaporated on the spot. Sejun's wine and side dishes had greatly enhanced Ramter's strong aura. It's fine. I'll just ask Sejun to make more. With the wine and food Sejun had given him, Ramter had burned away all his negative emotions. I should ask him to make about 10 bottles of cherry wine and 3 bowls of seafood stew for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sejun should be able to manage that, right? I am the great red dragon Ramter after all. Ha ha ha. It seemed he had become a bit too positive.